The Intern, Volume 1. Written by Brooke Cumberland.
Prologue. Cecilia. Every little girl has a hero, someone they look up to. To little girls, their dad is everything to them. My dad was my everything, my hero, my role model, my best friend. I was 11 years old when my world shattered, came to a crashing halt. Laughing and living a carefree life was easy when you were oblivious to the world's cruelty. That was when I had my first real life lesson. The world is a cruel place. My little brother and older sister were outside with me, jumping in and out of the sprinklers on a hot summer day in Omaha. It was our favorite thing to do together, something we couldn't fight about. My dad was sitting at the patio table, reading his newspaper and drinking his coffee like he did every Saturday morning. From the outside, we were the perfect suburban family. On the inside, lies, hatred, and secrets. I witnessed something that day that'll always be embedded into my mind. I also have the evidence to prove it, on my very own skin. Chapter 1. Cecilia. The interview. After 7 years, the memory is still seared into my mind. Everything about that day, that moment. I rub my shoulder as I always do when I think about him. That's where I have the scar, the memory of what that day entailed. I engross myself into every crime and detective show possible. I'm fascinated with everything relative to murder or criminal cases. I know it's an odd fascination, but it's all I know. It's all I've wanted to know. I'm not your typical high school girl. I don't wave pom-poms around, wear short skirts to get boys to notice me, or even bury my head in a book studying. I'm not any of those. So if that's what you're hoping to get, it's time to adjust your expectations. I'm that girl in chemistry getting an earful right now. I'm the one that was so damn distracted that I blew up my Bunsen burner and nearly the entire school. I'm the one that's fascinated with everything I shouldn't be. The one who doesn't have to work to get a guy's attention or cares about popularity. The one distracted by my past, and it won't ever go away until I know the truth of that day. Miss West, what a surprise to see you in here. Principal Jameson smirks at me from across his desk. I cross my arms and legs as I prepare for another lecture. It was an accident, I begin to explain. I'm sure it was, Cecilia. But you've been having quite a few accidents lately. I shrug as if I'm bored, which I am. I've heard it all from Mr. Jameson. Seeing as how you didn't intentionally blow it up, and you didn't harm anyone, I'm going to let this slide, but I roll my eyes. There's always a freaking but. I need your mother to sign this form. He hands me a typed-out form explaining what I've done and what matters are going to be taken for my actions. I grab it from his hands and stuff it in my purse. Fine. Anything else? No, Miss West, but please, try not to burn anything else. I'd rather like to keep this place in one piece. I stomp up and grab my bag that's hanging on the chair. I turn my back and head for the door without saying another word. Instead, I flash him the bird. Good day, Cecilia, I hear him say with amusement. I'm sure you're wondering how a teenage girl like me gets away with shit like that. But when the principal is your aunt's husband who knows exactly the childhood you've had, you tend to get the sympathy card. The tragedy of losing my dad, my hero, idol, and best friend has forever altered me. I'm no longer his little girl, his princess. I'm a cold shell of a person forced to grow up and deal with the new complexities his absence left of my upbringing. I was forced to grow up much faster than I should have had to and face the realities of what the world was really like. Cruel and unfair. I don't know who I am, or who I should be, but I know one thing's for sure. I can only rely on myself to find out the truth of that day. I heard what you did. Simon appears next to my locker with a grin. Yeah? And what's that? I snap back as I turn the lock code on my locker. That you about burned off Montana Grayson's fake eyebrows. I laugh. That should teach her to be 95% fake then. I could hear her screaming from outside the girl's bathroom. She was cursing and crying. I roll my eyes. What a fucking drama queen. Well, to be fair, she wasn't blessed with your perfect skin and naturally straight hair, he teases, pretending to give her an excuse. True, I smirk, but I don't care about those things. It's a shame you don't see how freaking gorgeous you are. I scowl as his eyes wander up and down my body like a dog in heat. I quickly look in the tiny magnetic mirror that's hanging in my locker and shrug unapologetically. I see it, but I only care when it gives me an advantage. I respond playfully. If he only knew that's exactly what my plans are. I slam my locker shut after putting my bag away. Well, I'm out. Tell Cora that I'll call her later if you see her. He flashes me a disgusted face. Yeah, like I'm going to purposely run into Cora? I laugh at his expression. Fine, whatever. I'll talk to you later, babe. After this morning's incident, I'm ready to get the hell out of there. I have somewhere else to be, anyway. My older sister, Casey, is living at home while she attends college. It's cheaper, and that way she has our mom to do her laundry still. If it were me, I would have gotten the hell out of here long ago. She's only 3 years older than I am, but we look a lot alike. At least, I hope people think we do, because I'm hoping to be her for the next 16 weeks. After showering and getting dressed, I peek into her room where she's studying on her bed. Hey, Casey, I need your student ID. Her eyes never lift from the book. It's in my wallet. I walk over to her purse and pull out her tiny Coach wallet. I've been in it numerous times, usually to borrow her license, to get into clubs, or to buy alcohol. She never questions it, either. Thanks. I'll bring it back later. I wasn't dressed in my usual clothes. Instead, I'm wearing a navy blue pencil skirt, white silk blouse, and nude pumps. I look like a librarian, but I need to look the part. My hair is up in a tight bun with a few loose curls. I wrapped my late grandmother's pearls around my neck for added effect. My face is naturally pale, so I add a touch of makeup, nothing extreme. My body is slender, a gymnast's body, but I haven't trained in years. Not since I was 14 and could no longer deal with the memories each practice brought. It used to be a passion of mine, but now it was only a reminder of my dad and the times we spent together every Sunday afternoon at the gym. I loved it before my dad died, and now it was only a painful memory. A painful passion. Who the hell dresses like this? Someone who needs to pretend to be someone else, I suppose. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I walk into the building marked Layton Enterprises and then take the elevator to the 3rd floor. Confidently, I step off and walk straight to the secretary's desk. Hello, may I help you? She looks up at me, bored. Hi, I'm Casey West. I'm here for an intern interview. Welcome, Miss West. Mr. Layton and his colleagues are a few minutes behind. Please take a seat, and they'll be with you shortly. I nod. Thank you. I hold the manila envelope in my lap as I take a seat. It contains my college transcripts, along with a lengthy essay on why I deserve this unpaid internship. I forged all of it, of course. It wasn't hard at all, actually. I used all of Casey's college scripts and found her school schedule to look up her professors' names. A few phone calls, and I had my fake transcripts and recommendation letters. Add in Casey's student ID, and I was now a makeshift college student. I made sure to do extensive research on this company. It's one of the largest investigative criminal reporting companies in the Midwest. They do a little of everything, but the part I'm interested in is the criminal cases. They hold files to every unsolved murder in Nebraska, which is exactly my reason for being here in the first place. Miss West, they're ready for you now. I stand up and smooth my skirt. I thank the receptionist as I walk down the short hall to a boardroom. The internship process is extensive due to all the private information held here. I had to go through an extensive questionnaire online as well as a phone pre-interview. But I'm prepared. I'm going to nail this interview head on. One thing my dad always said about me was that I was a real charmer. I've had the ability to manipulate and deceive people for as long as I could remember, and I fully intend to use that to my advantage. Using charm and seduction, my two secret weapons, I confidently walk in. Welcome. Please take a seat. 3 men sit in a row behind a long cherry table. They all have files lying on the table and shuffle through them as I make my way to the chair. Hello, gentlemen. I lean over and urge my hand in front of them, quickly shaking the first 2 men's hands. I shift my body so I'm angled toward the last one, whom I assume is Mr. Layton from the pictures I found. Oh my God. He's intimidatingly stunning. I try not to stare, but it's impossible not to when I'm trying to put on a show of confidence. He hesitates, but grabs my hand anyway and shakes it. It sends a chill down my body, and I immediately jerk back. I smile as I slowly sit down and set my folder on top of the table. You are Miss Casey West, correct? The one in the middle asks. Yes, sir. I remind myself to keep eye contact while controlling my facial expressions. Excellent. Well, welcome. I'm Paul Landers, and this is my colleague, Logan Summers. And this here is Mr. Bentley Layton. I glance at each of them, but my eyes halt on Mr. Layton. As I get a better look at him, I swallow as I take in his face, mouth, and biceps. Little butterflies appear in my stomach as his eyes make contact with mine. Paul and Logan look like typical businessmen. They're the most engaged, whereas Mr. Layton looks bored and irritated that he's been called into these interviews in the first place. He shifts uneasily as our eyes make contact. He also doesn't look the part. Where Paul and Logan wear the clean-cut look, short slicked hair and clean-shaven face, Bentley looks straight out of a motorcycle ad. He has shaggy, dark blonde hair that has a little curl to it, and a week's worth of trimmed facial hair. It's actually a good look for him, but it definitely is not what I expected a future CEO to look like. It's a pleasure, I say, as I make sure to keep my smile seductive. It's a talent I nailed down years ago. Can you tell us what you know about Layton Enterprises, and why you think you'd benefit from the intern program here? Paul asks right away, with a pen ready to start taking notes on everything I say. I clear my throat and sit up taller. I know all the basic information that is on your website, and honestly, it's just the tip of what this company is really about. I notice all 3 are now staring intently at me. What is not on your website is that Leighton Enterprises is one of the largest charitable contributors in the Midwest. You give the most to foundations that support Amber Alerts, missing children programs, and unresolved cold cases, to name just a few. You truly believe in the justice of finding missing persons and giving justice to the families of the victims. Besides your charitable contributions, you also hold the highest record in the country for reporting the most open cases from over 10 years ago. And I think I can benefit from all of that. Paul and Logan's jaws drop, as Mr. Leighton's expression remains unchanged. I'm unsure if he's impressed or pissed off, but I continue smiling as I make eye contact with each of them. "That's very impressive," Logan finally says. "Thank you. I did an extensive background search, but I'm very fascinated with this line of work." "What do you see yourself doing in the future?" Paul asks. "I'd like to be a journalist, perhaps a news reporter. I want to dig into open or even seemingly impossible cold cases. I want to make a difference to someone's family, even if it's years later. I want to do the unthinkable." This earns an eyebrow raise from Mr. Leighton. Well, it's a start. I'll get him to warm up to me before I walk out that door. "Excellent choice." Paul nods as he writes his notes down. "What do you think you can offer Leighton Enterprises during your internship?" "I hope to offer my skills, but mainly, I hope to make your lives easier. I want to be the middleman that helps get you whatever is needed to help you do your job better. I know I won't be working on any cases, so I won't even pretend that's an option. But I can definitely use the advantage to get my foot in the door. Once I am in, I can do my own digging." "Sounds very ambitious." My head jerks to Mr. Leighton, who finally speaks. His voice is low and stern. It takes me by surprise. I smirk and cross my legs. "I guess you could say that." I like the attention he's finally giving me. It makes me feel like I'm cracking him. "What can you tell us about your college experience thus far? What major are you?" Logan asks as I tear my eyes away from Mr. Leighton. "I'm a double major in journalism and criminal justice. My plan is to find a career where I can merge both of those, since they both fascinate me." I answer honestly. Well, as honest as I can be. I do plan to double major in college when I attend next year. "You sound very busy," Mr. Leighton interrupts. "How do you plan to juggle it all?" I pull my bottom lip in between my teeth just before releasing it and answering, "I'm very skilled at juggling." Chapter 2. Cecilia. I walk out with confidence and feel optimistic that I nailed the internship. I had Paul and Logan eating out of the palm of my hand. Mr. Leighton was impressed. I could tell. And feel it. But he didn't let it show to his colleagues. While I was researching Leighton Enterprises, I came across many pictures of Mr. Leighton himself. He's gorgeous on screen. But in person, he's trip-over-yourself-just-to-lick-him gorgeous. His hair is a shade of light brown, golden almost, but purposely messy. I could tell his suit fit him just perfect. I imagine his body is rock hard, chiseled to muscular perfection. It was hard to tell with him sitting down, but from his pictures he looked tall. Well over 6 feet. The thing that tripped me up was his age. He's certainly successful and extremely smart for only being 26. After doing more research, I learned it's a family-owned company. After the interview, I can successfully assume he's just getting started, and his family is now forcing him to be a part of the bigger decisions like interviewing and being involved in the mechanical aspects of the corporation. He certainly acts as if he belongs there, yet he acts completely bored and irritated for having to waste an afternoon. My mother pays little to no attention to my antics anymore. After Dad died, and the insurance money drained from expenses, she started working full-time to keep up with Casey's tuition. And with 3 kids, she has a lot to balance. She used to take me to therapy after the incident, but after thousands of dollars and no results, she was finally convinced I wasn't going to participate anyway. Best decision she ever made. All I did was sit and stare at the wall anyway. I didn't want to talk. It didn't help. It didn't bring my dad back, and it sure as hell didn't take the memories away. "Why are you dressed like that?" my younger brother Nathan asks as soon as I walk into the kitchen. "None of your damn business." I open the fridge and grab a can of soda. "Cecilia," my mother warns, "be nice." She only calls me by my full name when I'm in trouble, which is actually most of the time. I slam the fridge shut. "That was me being nice." I turn to walk away before remembering I need her to sign that form. I spin back around and grab it out of my purse. "Here, sign this." She eyes me suspiciously. "What did you do this time?" "It was an accident," I defend. "No one got hurt." "Oh my God! Hurt? What the hell, Cece?" She unfolds the note and reads the note Mr. Jameson typed out. "Jesus, Cecilia." She shakes her head in disapproval before scribbling her signature on the line. "I don't work 40+ hours a week to save up for your bail money," she scowls. She assumes I'm going to get in enough trouble someday, or that I'll smart off to the wrong person and end up behind bars. I wasn't worried about it. "You're not invincible, Cecilia," she warns, after I roll my eyes at her lame lecture. "I don't know why I need your damn signature anyway. I'm 18. "Doesn't matter. You're still living under my roof. Mr. Jameson and I have a deal." I snatch the letter from her hand. Yeah, whatever." I turn on my heel and head back upstairs to my room. I watch my phone like a hawk, wishing they'd call me today and just tell me I got the internship. I know they said a few days, but that's going to be torture waiting. I grab my lockbox from under my bed and place it on top. I have the key in my bedside dresser underneath My Little Ponies and Barbies I used to play with when I was a child. The only reason I keep them is that they are the last thing I could find that was from my dad. Mom went crazy and started throwing all of his shit out that would remind us of him. She said it would help us heal and move on. I didn't want to heal, and I sure as fuck didn't want to move on. I couldn't. Not until that bastard was caught and sentenced to death. "Oh my God, that was brutal." Cora giggles as she slams her body into the locker next to mine. Cora's been my best friend since we were in elementary school. She's the only one who knows all the gory details of that day. "You're a drama queen," Simon spits out, who's standing on the other side of me. Those two are always fighting for my attention and never getting along. "Go away, big brother," she spat back, waving her hand back at him. "Okay, you two, just go hump in the closet already. Your pretending to hate each other is driving me insane." "Oh, it's not pretend, babe. It's as real as Montana Grayson's nose job," Simon snorts. I laugh at his remark. "Okay, well, I have class. See you guys at lunch," I holler over my shoulder. I know those two are secretly crazy for each other. I'm just waiting for both of them to figure it out. I check my phone every 5 minutes for a missed call or voicemail. Nothing. I know I'm impatient, but I can't help it. I'm fidgety as hell. My whole life is weighing on this internship, and although it's technically not counting for anything, I just need to get into their system long enough to find what I'm looking for. The position wasn't a typical college internship. Most students that needed internship credits didn't take any college classes during the semester because they worked at least 40 hours a week. However, Layton Enterprises was looking for a weekend intern, someone they could train and mold into a future employee. It was a rare occasion that they held internship interviews since most were found from within, someone's son or daughter, niece or nephew. But not this time. And this time, it would be mine. It's spring semester for college students, meaning many are getting ready for graduation soon. And although I'm preparing for mine as well, mine's a high school graduation. And this would be my one and only chance to get into this company. I'll need to learn a lot about their software system and how to crack into the private and restricted information for my own personal research. But Simon is a computer genius. He teaches me anything I want or need to know. He doesn't know the extreme measures I'm about to go through, but I know he'll help me if I ask him. I don't pretend to be an expert, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out information and piece them together. Given the right tools and details, I know I can find out more about my dad, and at least with that, I can have closure. To distract me from checking my phone, I decide to search Bentley Layton during computer time. Okay, so it's not the best distraction, but it doesn't hurt to know more about my potential boss. The second I click on images, my entire body heats. Apparently, he was into modeling before he started working at Layton Enterprises. There are professional shoots and magazine spreads of him shirtless, though I am definitely not complaining about them. He's completely ripped and lined with tattoos on one arm and his chest. That I wasn't expecting to see under his suit and tie, but the more I dig into his past, the more sense it makes. He wanted to be a model. He was getting his career off the ground, booking shoots and ads, when his parents told him it was time to become involved in the family enterprise. Explains his damn attitude. My entire body tightens, and butterflies reappear in my stomach. It's a foreign feeling. It's nothing I've felt before. There was no denying I was attracted to Mr. Layton's looks, but his attitude sure could use an adjustment. Interestingly enough, he majored in English with a minor in criminal justice. So he has the background to be a reporter or journalist, and from the reports that I found online, he's damn good too. I grab my lockbox that I left on my bed and open it. I have numerous files, pictures, and evidence from my dad's death. I wish I could put the memories in there as well. Lock them up so I don't have to be constantly reminded of them. I look through the newspaper clippings that are all headed with "Murder on Maple Heights" and "Man Shot Down in Front of House." Let's not forget about his 3 innocent children standing in the front yard. Who fucking does that? I rub my scar as I close my eyes and remember. It's hazy, and I wish I could remember more. I wish I could remember the man who was driving the old '79 Cadillac. It was like slow motion. His car slows in front of our house. He pulls out his gun and aims for my dad. As soon as my dad falls to the ground, the car speeds off. And then nothing. All I remember are sounds, screaming, crying, sirens. That's it. My memory is literally useless. Perhaps it was because a bullet nicked me in the shoulder, and I blacked out. waking up a day later in the hospital. We had cops and detectives flooding the house for days after. They checked into my dad's background, trying to link anything to a gang or a business deal gone wrong. It made no sense. My dad wasn't a bad guy. "What book are we reading tonight, Princess?" my dad asked as he tucked me into bed. I pretended to think aloud, but he knew which one. My favorite one. "Sleeping Beauty," I smiled. He smiled and shook his head. "Of course." He grabbed it from my bookshelf and sat next to me in bed. I leaned against my pillow as his arm wrapped around me. He was the best at reading stories, always making the voices match the characters. I giggled every time he read it. "The end," he said as he turned the last page and shut the book. "One more time?" I pleaded. "Please, Daddy." "Not tonight, Princess." "Will I ever find my Prince Charming?" I asked, stalling, not wanting him to leave just yet. "Yes, of course. And when you do, you'll know he's the one. You'll know." I crinkled my nose. "I'm too young to be rescued just yet. I don't need a hero," I giggled. He leaned in and kissed my forehead. "Be your own hero, Princess. Worry about finding the one that makes you happy. That's all that matters anyway." "You'll always be my hero, Dad." The few memories I have left of my dad are priceless. He was a great dad, and I feel lost without him. I owe him this, not just for me, but for my family, too. After 6 months, the detectives called to say it was a cold case. They had no leads, no evidence, and without a full license number to track the vehicle down, they had nothing. My sister had limited information. She remembered the license plate vaguely. She remembered a QL on the plates. But it wasn't enough. And although she explained what the car looked like and they had narrowed it down, nothing in the system matched. It was probably stolen and sold for parts. Even after asking the neighbors and finding a couple maybe witnesses, it never led to anything. Nothing did. The only thing I can do now is find some information out on my father. That's my ticket. Find out whom he was associated with, his past, his job, basically anything my 11-year-old self didn't know. My mother wouldn't tell me anything more about him. She said he was an insurance broker. Simple 9-to-5 job. However, she hadn't worked since before Casey was born, so I found it very unlikely that we could afford to live in one of the most expensive parts of town. I was a kid, but I wasn't stupid.
Chapter 3. Bentley. Week 1. Can someone please explain to me why the fuck I'm wasting my afternoon looking at intern applications? I pace my office overlooking the floor-to-ceiling windows. This is why I have Paul and Logan, I scream into my earpiece. You need to learn all aspects of the job, Bentley, my father replies calmly. If you wish to take over someday, this is all part of the training process. I don't want to take over. You fucking know that, I spat back. I rock back and forth on my heels, trying to contain my temper. I told you I'd go along with this damn charade if I got to do what I wanted. And you will, son. But even bosses have to do the dirty work sometimes. It's all part of the business. You're a Leighton. I scowl every time my father says that. You're a Leighton. Yeah, not by fucking choice. Fine, I agree through clenched teeth. This is the first and only time I do this. Well, do a good job and you won't have to. Before I could retaliate, he hung up. I whip my earpiece out and throw it on my desk. Fucking interns. I unhappily drag my feet into the boardroom where Paul and Logan are already seated. I take the chair next to them and open the folder of applicants in front of me. I hear them talking and wonder if I should say something, but before I can, the first applicant enters. Shit. And then another. Shit. And another. Shit. They're all shit. Every single one of them. They can barely make eye contact with me, yet they want to work for me? I about give up and say to hell with it before Erica, my assistant, beeped in through the phone and announced there was one more. Fucking great. I grab the last applicant's form and study it before she enters. Casey West, 21, University of Nebraska, senior. I look over her letter of recommendations and see several from professors and assistants. Fast learner, above-average student, and dependability are all her glowing raves. Well, she better fucking be, since she's basically my last hope. My jaw ticks the moment she walks in the room. I try to hold in a laugh as I take in her librarian wannabe wardrobe. I know most girls don't wear that. Hell, I was in college only 4 years ago. I know for a fact girls her age wear a lot less clothing. She smiles and takes a seat as she greets us. Her voice is filled with passion as she begins talking about the company. She has sure done her research, and then some. She's the only one to go into depth about our charitable foundations, and I'm hit with an immediate attraction to her capabilities. Her face is genuine and soft as she talks about herself and how she'll make a good asset to the company. Her hair is light brown with blonde peeking through. Her skin looks silky and soft. And, holy shit, I'm describing her looks as if it matters for the job. It doesn't. But it sure as hell doesn't hurt. She's the most intriguing of all the applicants. Her self-confidence is obvious, but she's also one of the smartest we've interviewed all day. The way her body shifts easily between the three of us to the way she passionately speaks about my father's business has me feeling an uncanny attraction to her. Once the interview is over, I sneak a glance at her ass as she walks out. Bad habit, I suppose, but damn if I didn't like what I saw. I shift uneasily in my chair as I watch her leave, needing to tame my cock before I can stand up and walk out of here. Truthfully, her application and her interview were by far the best I've seen all day, but I'll need to dig into her background to double-check she isn't a fraud or a secret Russian spy. All right, I'm out for the day, I announced to Erica. Sir, you have a message here from a Professor Hennings? Oh, shit, I groan. It's Casey West's guidance counselor. I had called to verify all the information she gave us was correct. Do you want me to call back and schedule a time? No, thanks. I'll just call back tomorrow. I'm not in the mood to do anything else intern-related. I don't even care for interns, yet it was part of the business, as my father said. We're a teaching company, son. I didn't need a damn intern, but since it'll keep my dad off my back, I have to play nice. We're a team, be a team player, and yada fucking yada. If I have to deal with an intern every Saturday for 4 months, she should at least be hot. Give me something to look at. Before you go judging my character about noticing pretty girls, you should know I work in an office with 75% men. That's a lot of sausage to be looking at. My college party days are way over, and even if I wanted to party, I wouldn't have the time. The second I graduated, I was forced into working here and learning to take over so my dad can eventually retire. It isn't that I hate working here. I love what I do, but I'm not ready to give up my life yet. I would have eventually joined the family business, but at my own pace. I hadn't been given the chance to live my life my way or make decisions on my own terms. The only thing that keeps me from jumping off a bridge is that I actually do love the job aspect of reporting and writing. Case files are a close second, but reporting about the solved ones are the real highlights of this job. And my life. But now, there's no intermission for girls in my life. The occasional hookup isn't uncommon, but the last thing I wanted at my age was to be tied down. To anyone. I pour 2 fingers of whiskey before taking a seat on the couch. I grab the remote and flip through channels until something interests me. Nothing does, so I pour 2 more fingers of whiskey. I do this about 2 more times before I stumble into my room and pass out on my bed, fully clothed. The week flies by, and I completely forget about calling all the intern's references. It's already Thursday, so I say fuck it and tell Paul just to pick one. You can't seriously just say pick one. She'll be working mainly for you. Fine, the hot one. I wave a hand in his direction as I continue typing away on my computer. And that would be? He stands eagerly in front of my desk. I don't know, Kathy, Corrine, Casey something? The last one? I ramble. Ah, Casey West, he offers. Yeah, she was the best one for it anyway. And that ass wasn't bad either, he responds dryly. My body ticks at the way he's describing her. I know I'm not much better, but hearing it from another guy, especially Paul, fuels my urge to punch him in the face. Don't say shit like that, I growl as I slowly raise my head to look at him. The expression on his face turns from supercilious to one of being baffled. Relax, man. Did you call her counselor or references? I want him out of my office so I can finish reports, so I tell him what he wants to hear. Yeah, all good. Great. I'll call her this afternoon and have her begin this Saturday. Good, fine. I'll be here, I guess. I come in every Saturday, so I'll be training her. Fucking hell. He leaves without another word, and I continue typing hard against the keyboard. There's a huge case that's just had a breakthrough. I hurriedly type it out so I can get it online ASAP. Most of our customers are online. We try to get our reports out first before anyone else can. Casey West will be here 8 a.m. this Saturday, Paul informs me over the phone. My body tenses up at the sound of her name. Do you want your assistant here just in case? In case what? I scowl. She can't figure out how to work the coffee maker? No, I think we'll manage. The truth is, I want her alone without interruptions. Her personality and confidence have me completely captivated, and I want to know more about her, without my assistant getting in the way. You have to teach her more than just how the coffee maker operates, he warns. She could potentially want to apply here after graduation. By teaching students the ropes of the job, they're already pre-qualified to work here. Yes, I know, asshole, I snap. You don't need to repeat everything my father tells me, you know. Oh, you mean you don't want to have the talk about the birds and the bees? Screw off, man, I'm not a child. You're 26, he laughs. You may as well be. And then he hangs up. Working here is a joke. No one takes me seriously being the son of the CEO. Everyone thinks I'm here because of Daddy. And technically I am, but I could have scored this job without his help. I double-majored in college, earned above-average grades, and did a lot of community work. I was no one's charity case. I could fend for myself. I'm browsing through emails on my phone as I ride the elevator down to the lobby. It halts on the 3rd floor, and I back up to let more people on. I don't lift my head up as the elevator starts again, but suddenly I'm hit with the sound of laughter. It's innocent, young, and vibrant. I'm intrigued, so I shift my body to get a better view of her. My eyes find the young girl in the front by the doors. I watch her from the side and notice she's on her phone. She's smiling wide and laughing with whomever she's speaking to on the phone. The doors slide open, and I walk around a few people to exit. Except the girl doesn't move, and I crash right into the back of her, pushing us both out of the elevator before the doors close. Instinctively, I wrap my free arm around her waist to catch her from face-planting the floor. Her back is pressed against my chest, and for a moment, I don't want to let go. Her phone isn't as lucky. It slips out of her hand and lands on the lobby floor. Shit, she curses, and my arm frees her to bend down and grab it off the floor. I'm so sorry. I begin apologizing as I step back. My eyes wander to her bare legs and up her toned thighs to a pair of black workout shorts. She's wearing a baggy sweatshirt as if she'd been running or working out. I can smell the fresh sweat on her, but it doesn't turn me off. In fact, it does the exact opposite. That's okay. Her voice cracks as she turns around and I finally get a good look at her. Oh, Mr. Layton, she says, surprised, and I immediately curse the bad luck that brings me to my new intern, Casey West. "Miss West," I finally say as she stares up at me in silence. "I thought you weren't coming until Saturday." "Hide your disappointment, Mr. Layton." The corners of her mouth perk up into a cocky smile. "I was just picking up the paperwork and doing all the background check questions." Her witty personality is spot on, just like the last time. Everyone that works or interns at Layton Enterprises goes through an extensive background check for security reasons. All of the files are confidential, and only journalists reporting on the stories can know the exclusive information. "Ah, yes, of course. The paperwork." Paul failed to mention she'd be here today. She continues eyeing me, and I wonder if she feels the electricity between us as much as I do. "Well, I'll see you Saturday, Mr. Layton," she says as she is seductively smiling up at me. She quickly turns around and begins walking toward the lobby doors. I put my phone in my pocket and shake the thoughts of Casey out of my head. This is crazy. I can't think of her like that. She's my goddamn intern. Being a model all through college and graduate school, it was never hard to find hookups. Hell, they came to me. It was a much different lifestyle than I have now. Everything was handed to me on a gold-lined platter. The clothes, partying until 4 a.m., limos, drinks, endless amounts of girls throwing themselves at me. It was all part of the lifestyle. And now? The partying has stopped. The limos, drinks, and endless girls stopped. Suit and briefcases became my new wardrobe, and my modeling career vanished as if it never even existed. I work 60-plus hours a week, take shit from my colleagues who have no faith in me, and have become a walking, talking puppet for my father who wants to mold me into the future CEO. The family enterprise isn't what I have an issue with, but the fact that I'm 26 years old and the last thing I'm thinking of is settling down. A part of me wishes for my old life back, just to give me some sense of clarity. But that's no longer an option for me. By Friday, my mind is fully consumed with thoughts of Casey. Since the interview and bumping into her the day before, my mind has been places extremely inappropriate for someone that'll be working for me. I realize I need to get the hell out of this office and clear my head. I call Ryan, another colleague of mine, and tell him to go out with me tonight. He doesn't argue, so we plan to meet up at 10 p.m. at the Dusty Row Bar. I change into jeans and a fitted t-shirt before heading out and meeting him. The only thing on my agenda tonight is to get drunk, and hopefully, lucky. I wake up to the blazing sound of my alarm clock. 6:45 a.m. is flashing in bright red lights on my iPhone. Oh, fuck. I slowly roll over on my bed and smack into someone on the other side. I quickly rack my brain for memories of last night, but there isn't any. Well, not many at least. I remember beer, girls, shots, more girls, liquor, naked girls. That about sums it up. Hello? I shake her until one eye peeks open. You need to leave, sweetheart. I have to go to work. I grab a sheet and wrap it loosely around my waist. I walk to my closet and pull out my suit for the day, partially excited that I get to train my new intern, my hot-as-fuck librarian-looking intern. On the weekend? She asks lazily as she shuffles around on the bed. She moans and pats the spot next to her on the bed. Come back to bed. I can't. I have to get in the shower. See your way out? Her expression tells me she's offended, and her loud stomping on the floor clarifies that I'm right. Do you even remember my name? She asks angrily as she scoops up her clothes that are scattered on my hardwood floor. I smirk as she inches closer to me. Do you remember mine? She scowls. You're an asshole. Take a number, sweetheart. You aren't the first one to think so. I call out after her. She's stomping down the hallway, and I just shrug. Walking into work feels different today. I know it's because I'll be seeing her again, and that she's my intern, and knowing that she's completely off limits. I'm already in my office logging in reports when a soft knock is at my door. "Come in," I answer without looking up. I vaguely see her out of the corner of my eye. She's not in her grandma wear, but she's dressed appropriately for an office job. Black, sleek skirt and a red shirt. I vaguely take in her shirt, noticing it reveals much more skin than before. "Good morning, Mr. Layton," she says confidently. I finally look up and curse myself immediately for doing so. Getting a better view of her, I notice her clothes are clung tight to her, showing off every curve and her taut nipples. She's smiling ear to ear and resting her hands in front of her. "Good morning, Miss West. Welcome." "Thank you." She smiles at me and I swallow. "Oh, I forgot to say thank you for this opportunity. I'm absolutely grateful." "Sure, well, you deserve it," I reply kindly. "Oh, and please call me Cece? I mean, if that's okay." She stammers nervously. "Cece?" I raise an eyebrow. She giggles, and it nearly kills me. That sound. The sound of her laugh is probably the best sound I've ever heard. "Yeah." She begins shifting back and forth on her feet. "It's a nickname," she explains. "My younger brother couldn't pronounce my name when he was a toddler and ended up calling me Cece, and well, it's just stuck all these years, I guess." "Sounds good. Cece it is." I roll her name with my tongue, and it feels so good, as if I could say her name over and over again. "What would you like me to do? Do you have some kind of list or agenda that you'd like me to follow? A schedule, perhaps?" That was supposed to be on my to-do list last night. Shit. "Well, first, do you know how to operate a coffee maker?" I grin. She gives me a confused expression, and I'm afraid I might have scared her off already. I smile and grab my wallet out of my back pocket. "Never mind. There's a Starbucks 1 block west from here. I'll take a dark coffee, 2 sugars, and whatever you'd like." I hand her my company credit card, and her hand briefly grazes mine before taking it. "Absolutely, sir. I'll be right back." She spins on her heel and is out the door in 10 seconds flat. While she's gone, I try to think of things she can do when she returns, so I don't feel like a goddamn babysitter. But it's so hard to concentrate when all I can think of are her damn legs. Note: no allowing skirts at work. On second thought, only short skirts allowed. Chapter 4. Bentley. I wait impatiently until she walks back in, sashaying her hips with ease. She gently places my coffee on my desk and smiles up at me. Now what do I fucking do with her? Shit, there's a lot I'd like to do with her. "Dark coffee, 2 sugars, sir." "Thank you." I breathe out. I give my attention back to my computer, hoping she'll take the hint and leave. "Sir?" Her voice cracks. "Where would you like me?" My jaw twitches at the innuendo she's just put in my head. I try not to stare at her, but the way her soft pink lips are perking up at me makes it hard to tear my eyes away. "I've made a list. You can start with that." I respond coldly. She doesn't deserve it, but I need to remind myself of the situation we're in currently. Boss. Intern. Off limits. She inches closer to grab the list from my hand, slowly brushing her fingers over my knuckles. She keeps her eye contact with me the entire time, completely pissing me off. This girl wasn't a scared little intern, and she wasn't intimidated by my authority. Hell, I bet she even takes charge in the bedroom. "You can go now," I toss out. This girl was either messing with me or completely oblivious to the way she could attract men. Either way, I couldn't have that in my office. This was strictly business. Or so that's what I'm trying to tell myself. "You can use the office across from mine for now. Mr. Bauman doesn't come in on Saturdays," I add before she turns on her heel and walks out. She needs to be far away from me right now. I grab my coffee and bring it to my mouth, The smell on the lid grabs my attention before I take a sip. I bring it up to my nose and smell her scent. A mixture of fruity lip gloss and expensive shampoo, as if she took a sip of my coffee first. I instantly adjust my pants at the thought of her lips on my coffee lid. It's an innocent gesture, but smelling the scent and imagining where I'd want those perfect warm lips is anything but innocent. I bury my head in case files all morning. Leighton Enterprises is a full-round corporation, meaning we do many things under the same scope. We investigate criminal cases and report our findings. We also report on major murder cases in the U.S., such as the case of Kaylee Anthony. Leighton Enterprises work day and night on that one, keeping up with new information and building reports from it. Often the police reports are included in the cases we receive, but sometimes they go missing or aren't filled out accurately. It then becomes our job to try to fill in the missing gaps to write a full, thorough story. I became interested in criminology after a huge murder flooded the headlines when I was 17. My dad worked night and day on that case, making sure to keep up with the news and report anything new that came in. To be the first to report it and to update it added to the Leighton Enterprises name. We pride ourselves on being accurate and efficient, all while being number one. Unfortunately, all we could report was case updates and news from the investigation. The case was never solved. It's one of the biggest unsolved cases in Nebraska. I shuffle through files sitting on my desk and don't notice that my office door is opening. She walks in with ease, smiling as she walks up to my desk. "Yes?" I snarl, not making eye contact with her. "I'm all done," she replies simply. "What else can I do for you? Is there anything, maybe—" She pauses, biting down on her lower lip. "More challenging that I can do?" Her voice is higher as she anticipates my response. I look down at my desk, pretending to stack papers, and smirk at how her innocent questions suddenly sound dirty in my head. "Well, what can you do, Miss West?" I clear my throat. "I mean, Cece, I know you have high achievements, so you tell me. What do you want to learn?" I look up at her this time and watch her squirm at my words. She grins and steps closer. "What can you teach me?" I adjust my pants again. My damn cock can't behave. This girl is a 21-year-old naive college student, and I'm her boss, I remind my cock. But it does nothing to tame itself. "Are you okay?" she asks, leaning over my desk to where my hand is trying to hide the tent I'm now sporting. "For someone so well-educated, you're sure a curious little thing," I respond nervously, trying to get her eyes off my junk. She giggles. She actually fucking giggles. "Sorry, sir. It's just, you look very uncomfortable, like you're trying to scratch your skin off or something." "Excuse me?" My eyes meet hers. "Oh, shit." She covers her mouth with her hand. "I'm so sorry, that was really inappropriate." I can tell she's still smiling. I pull my chair back and stand up, towering over her tiny size. "I think it's best you go home for the day." She checks her watch quick before speaking. "It's not even noon, sir. Please, I'm so sorry. It'll never happen again. I really want to be here. Just tell me what to do. Anything. I'll do it." I sit back down and think about her request. She looks at me pleadingly, and like the sucker I am, I give in. "Fine," I breathe out. "I'll show you the software we use. You'll need to know how to operate it." She clasps her hands tightly together and thanks me over and over. I nod, hardly acknowledging, and then I tell her to bring a chair over to my side. I move my chair over to give her enough room, but with the way my computer is angled, she has to lean over me to get a good view. "All right, so—" I clear my throat as I try to concentrate on the screen and not the fact that I can feel her warm breath on my neck. "It's pretty easy, once you get the hang of it." "Don't worry, Mr. Leighton," she interrupts. "I'm a fast learner." I can hear the seduction in her voice and immediately realize how bad of an idea this is. Her body is close to mine as she leans over her chair. Her breasts are rubbing against the back of my arm, and I can tell her skin is silky smooth just from the contact. My cock twitches, and I move forward to avoid her body against mine. I swallow hard as I continue. Here is where each case is located. They are categorized by date, location, file number, and last name. You can do easy searches by this icon up here, as well as typing in the first couple letters of the name. It's very user-friendly. Just when I think I'm home free and my cock tames itself, she leans off her chair and puts a hand on my shoulder as she reaches a finger to the screen. My body immediately tenses at the touch of her hand. Even if it's an innocent gesture, she knows what she's fucking doing. "What's this icon down here?" she asks, oblivious to the mini heart attacks she's currently giving me. I clear my throat as I adjust myself on the chair. I can't have her this close to me. "It's for transcripts. You can read them right on the screen instead of digging the files out. Most have been electronically scanned in." "Wow, how awesome. I mean, for the journalists." "Yeah, it's definitely a time saver." She finally sits back down, so I turn and face her. "I could have you do something like that, but it's not very challenging. You seem too smart for something like that." I grin. Expecting her to agree with me, I'm surprised by her reaction. "That's perfect." She sits up straighter. She is giddy at the fact that she'll be scanning in documents all day. This girl was a basket of crazy. "I'd love to do it." I scratch the back of my neck, trying to think of something that might keep her in my office instead. Too bad the only thing I have in mind is her kneeling in front of me. I stand up and tell her to follow me out. There are only a handful of other journalists who come in on Saturdays, so the office is relatively quiet. I lead her to another room where the transcripts are kept. I show her how they are categorized and documented. Then I show her to another room where the scanner and computer are for organizing the transcripts in the system. She nods her head the entire time, not even bothering to ask me any questions. She smiles confidently as she speaks. "No problem, Mr. Layton. These are all safe with me." I give a weak smile back. "Great. Just let me know when you need a break and you can leave for the day." "No problem. This looks like heaven to me, so I'll probably get lost in here for a few hours." I give her a confused look. "You really aren't like typical college girls, are you? You're actually excited about this?" Her smile turns seductive as she eyes me carefully. "No, I'm not like other college girls. In fact, I'm very, very different. I'm driven by success, and I don't allow failure into my vocabulary. If this is what will get me experience and into a career that I want, I'll do it. Anything you ask me to do, Mr. Layton, I will." She speaks as if she's promising me those very things. She's determined, and I like that. She inches closer to me so I can feel her breath on my skin. It's rapid and quick like mine. She's thinking the same thing I am. "Well, enjoy," is all I say as I slowly back up and walk out the door. She keeps her eyes on me the entire time until I'm out of view. That girl, her personality and confidence completely captivate me. She's different from any intern I've ever met. Or girl. Most act vulnerable and ditzy to gain my attention. However, this girl is anything but that. Not to mention how stunning she is. And she's one I haven't gotten out of my head since the moment she stepped into that boardroom.
Chapter 5. Cecilia. Week 2. I finally feel as if I'm doing something for my dad's injustice. It may not be much, but getting into those transcripts is a step closer. Even being around the software and learning about the files gives me an advantage to dig around and find the information I need. Although I'm only 18 years old, my soul has far surpassed that. My whole life altered in one split second, leaving me with no choice. Leaving me with the harsh reality. I know I can do this job. Minus the professional experience, I have the passion. I have the drive and desire more than anyone else I know. Most girls my age are only worried about fashion, prom, who's dating who, and reality television. And I could care less about any of that. I nearly screamed when I got the call that I had been picked for the internship. I begged to come in to finish the paperwork that day so I could start right away. I didn't even care that I wasn't dressed up or anything. I wanted to start right away. Bumping into Mr. Layton, literally, was an unexpected surprise. The way my heart raced at the sudden contact of our bodies being slammed together was something that had me shaking the entire drive back home. I knew the way my body responded to him was unusual, but I wasn't going to let that stop me from doing what I had to do. "Hey, we hanging out this weekend?" Simon asks as we walk to lunch together. "Sure. Sunday?" I suggest. "What about Saturday? We could catch a movie," he says, hopeful. Simon and I usually hang out on the weekends, except the times I'm with Cora. Those two refuse to spend any time outside of school together. As I said, they secretly love each other. "I can't Saturday. I have something going on already." I try to sound vague so I don't give myself away. He opens the door for me and lets me walk in before speaking again. "Well, fine, Sunday. But tell that bitch she's not to beg you to sleep over or something so I can't see you." I laugh at his assumption. "Yes, Dad," I scowl. "You two really need to get along. I don't even understand why you hate each other. It's childish." I grab a tray and begin walking down the lunch line. Humph. Childish? She's the one that acts like a child. Ooh, good defense. I roll my eyes. I think you guys hate each other so much because you secretly want each other, and until one of you fesses up, all your sexual tension is just going to continue burning until one of you finally combusts, I say, matter-of-factly. That I'm certain of. "Okay, Veronica Mars," he scowls. "You couldn't be more wrong." We both pay for our lunch and walk to our table. "Okay, well, then spell it out for me." Before he can answer, Cora plops her ass next to me. I turn and look at her. "Why are you smiling like that?" She tries to hide the overwhelming grin on her face, but fails miserably. "Lance Kingston just asked me to prom?" I can tell she's trying to act calm, but the constant tapping of her foot tells me just how giddy she really is. "Prom?" Simon shrieks. I notice he instantly tenses up, and the burning stare he's giving Cora right now reassures me I'm right. He's jealous. "Yeah, isn't that like 4 months away?" I ask, taking a bite of my food. "Mm-hmm." She grins, shuffling her food around on her tray. It's all I need to hear to know just what that means. They hooked up. I can't even concentrate on her right now. Bentley is flooding my mind, and it's all I've been able to think about since Saturday. And I get to see him again in 2 days. When I was there, I felt like a different person. I was playing a role, acting, and I was damn good at it. But Operation Charm and Seduce is in full-blown mode. I'm doing what I have to do to get the information necessary. I need to know as much as possible about my dad's case. Otherwise, I know I'll never be able to move on. I'm not faking my attraction to him. He's definitely a guy I'll break my rules for, even if just for one night. But from the way he was responding to me, I could tell he'd take that one night and demand more. He has no idea what he's getting himself into. I wake up feeling anxious and excited Saturday morning. I have two things to look forward to: seeing Bentley again, and to get one step closer to finding my dad's murderer. I arrive promptly at 7:45 a.m. with Mr. Layton's coffee and, for good measure, a plain bagel. He looks like a plain bagel type of guy. I have to kiss his ass as much as I can without making it too obvious. Although, I'm sure I'm going to fail miserably. "Good morning, Mr. Layton," I say politely as I place his beverage and food on his desk.
"Good morning, Cece. You are bright and cheerful today,"
he says with amusement. He grabs the hot cup of coffee and brings it to his mouth. I get lost in his lips for a split second before I remind myself I have to speak. I knew going into this I'd have to tell him to call me something else besides Casey. I was worried I wouldn't respond on instinct if he said Casey instead of Miss West. I couldn't risk him thinking anything was unusual, and although Cece is a nickname for Cecilia, he completely bought it. "Of course, sir. It's a pleasure to be here. What's not to be cheerful about?" He studies me carefully, letting his eyes wander up and down my body, paying close attention to the tight fabric I'm wearing today. I borrowed Casey's clothes, since I don't have anything work-appropriate. I'm sure the ripped-up jeans and band tees would be a dead giveaway.
"I guess that's an honest trait."
He studies me carefully, and I know my plan is working. "I sure hope so," I reply quickly. He doesn't need to know how easy it is for me to lie, especially when it's something that I desperately want. "Where would you like me today?" He cracks his jaw slightly, and I notice how uncomfortable he easily gets when I say things like that.
"Where I would like you and where you should be are two very different questions, but ironically they hold the same answers."
I shift from one foot to the other as his come-ons become stronger, more tangible in what he's after. Part of me knows it's wrong, but I'm 18. I'm legal, and I do find him intriguing. He's attractive, and I'm willing to play along in this little game. Whatever it takes to stay in this building for as long as possible. That sounds like motive. I smirk back. Which one would you like to answer? I'm throwing him a bone because it's obvious he's struggling just as much as I am. Part angel says it's morally and ethically wrong, and part devil says to go for it. He's fuckable. I agree with part devil. Being here, with him, I don't feel like a naive adolescent. Rather, he makes me feel grown, as if my thoughts actually matter. However, making him beg for it and practically coming in his pants is just as amusing. He shifts in his chair as if he's shocked by my response and needs a minute to think.
"Miss West?"
He pauses, but doesn't correct himself.
"Go do your job. Please."
His voice sounds pained, as if he's pleading with himself. He's fighting between what his body wants and what he knows is wrong. And although I'm having the exact same battle, his body will win eventually. I walk past a couple of open offices. I glance inside as I slowly tread by, getting a good look at the other journalists working there. I need to make sure I keep a healthy distance, but still be aware in case I ever have to sneak around for something later. I begin digging through the transcripts, skimming over them as I scan them in for anything that could possibly resemble my dad's case. Perhaps the shooter had done this before and gotten away with it. Or perhaps he's been caught for a crime long after. I would never know, but I was willing to try to find out. It's hard to concentrate on scanning when my body is trembling at the thought of him. Bentley's mouth keeps popping into my mind. His face, his hands, his eyes, everything about him. I realize I'm falling deeper in the trap, the sexual tension that is so obviously between us. After 4 hours of continuous scanning, I stand up and stretch. My legs are cramping, and my neck is getting sore from staring at the same thing. I let out a moan as I stretch my arms over my head. Oh, God, I moan again as my body completely melts into the stretch, feeding my muscles the relief they need. Jesus Christ. I hear a growl from behind me. I quickly spin around and see him standing casually in the doorway. His arms and legs are crossed as he studies me. I never knew a moan could sound so fucking hot. I grin as I move the chair out of my way. I imagine his coming at me like a wild tiger filled with hunger and need as he grabs me and then places me on top of the desk. I get lost in the thought of him running his hands up my legs and soon up my skirt. The thought makes me forget reality, and soon I'm just standing there staring at him as I clench my legs tighter together. "Are you hungry?" he asks, changing courses from the very dirty fantasy I was having. Yes, sure," I stumble. I mentally kick myself for sounding weak in front of him. I need to stay in control, keep my ground if I'm going to continue doing this. "Why don't you take a break, and I'll order us in some food." "Sounds great. Thanks." I continue smiling up at him like a fool. I really need to keep my cool. "What are you in the mood for?" His voice is low, almost a whisper. On top, doggy style, bent over the office desk, reverse cowgirl, basically anything that involves him. I clear my throat, feeling uneasy. "Anything is fine with me." I nervously shuffle some documents around, pretending to organize them. "Sounds good." His face is expressionless as he turns and walks out. 10 minutes later, I walk into his office, unsure if I should be there or not. He welcomes me in and motions for me to take a seat across from him as he sits behind his desk. "So, what made you interested in journalism and criminology?" he asks suddenly. He's staring intently at me as if he can see right through me, as if all my secrets are transparent. "I've always been fascinated with them both, but for different reasons," I begin, sinking lower into the chair as I make myself comfortable. "Writing is something that comes natural to me, something that has been very therapeutic in the journey my childhood has played out. And criminology? Well, what's not to love?" I smirk, crossing my legs to expose the bare flesh. I want to get off this topic as soon as possible. "So, what are your plans for after graduation?" He eyes me curiously. I tense up at his question, knowing I need to be convincing in my lies. "I hope to get a full-time job in something that merges both of my majors and interests together," I say vaguely, hoping he stops grilling me. And what's that, exactly?" He tilts his head up, and I know he's not going to quit any time soon. "Why don't you tell me how you got here, Mr. Layton? I know you're only 26 and fresh out of grad school with a master's in English. Is this what you planned for after graduation?" I speak with a lace of seduction, hoping it keeps him from asking about me anymore. And it works, as I watch his eyes stare at my lips as if he's thinking hard about them. "You're sure a little investigator," he muses, licking his own lips. "My guess is you already know the answers to that." I laugh aloud at his cockiness. "No, The only thing that comes up when I researched you was chicks in bikinis on your arm and information on Senior, Mr. Layton. Anything personal about you was zipped tight. That comes out much harsher than I mean for it to, but he doesn't seem to mind. In fact, he laughs. He fucking laughs at me. If that's all you found, then I guess I have nothing to worry about. Now I'm curious what secrets he's possibly hiding. It's not easy for someone in the spotlight to keep personal demons unknown, but apparently he's managed to somehow. So what's your story? You have a Google page I can snoop through? He asks with a cocky grin as he leans back in his chair and folds his arms. Any stalker ex-boyfriends I need to be aware of? I raise my eyebrows at him. I'm pretty certain that breaks about 100 employment codes asking about my relationship status. He smirks. This is hardly a job. I mean, you come in on Saturdays. He laughs before adding, for free. So? I quickly defend. Not all of us have a trust fund for financial security for the rest of our lives. Some of us have to work the hard way, and in most cases, work for free to learn and work our way up. He leans forward in his chair in complete seriousness, and it's not until he speaks that I think he's about to chew my ass off. Wait a fucking minute. You mean to tell me that you don't have a trust fund? I was sure all kids do. I scowl at the way he's teasing me. Since this isn't a real job, I don't feel threatened to say that you're a real asshole. I grip the chair and stand up. He laughs loudly as I make my way to the door. I don't need his condescending shit. Wait. He's still laughing. I continue as I storm out and feel his hand on my arm as I reach the door. I freeze in my tracks, my back to his chest. I can feel his heartbeat racing. It matches mine. My skin heats as his touch sears my flesh. The way his hand is still gripping my arm sends a shiver down my body, making it nearly impossible to not relax against his body. My body tremors, and I know he can feel it. Cece, I said wait, he growls. His voice is no longer light and playful. It's as if he's turned a complete 180. He spins me around, and I gasp at the closeness. My eyes skim his body, going from his hips to his chest and up to his face. He looks much bigger close up, his muscles more defined as I get a better look at him. He's built, and his biceps are about to pop out of his baby blue button-up shirt. He's dressed more casual this week, not in his usual suit and tie. I'm waiting, I manage to say. I don't want him to know how he affects me, but part of me knows it's too late. He knows. I was only kidding, he says genuinely, and I feel bad for getting upset. I don't know your past, so it was really arrogant of me to shove my wealth in your face. This guy is unreal. I jerk my arm out of his grasp and lock eyes with him. I don't care how much money you have or lack of money I have. It doesn't make you any better than me or anyone else, and I stand by my first observation. You're an asshole. Instead of getting angry like I had hoped, he flashes a genuine smile and places his hand on my cheek. The connection instantly sends goosebumps over my skin, suddenly making it feel cold in here, but I know it isn't. It's evident the way my body reacts to him, the dual attraction and feelings. I only wanted to flirt and mess with him, but it seems my own body has betrayed me. Don't go. Our lunch will be here shortly, he pleads. His eyes go soft as he speaks. I feel paralyzed to his voice, so all I can do is nod. He grabs my hand and leads me back to the chair in front of his desk. I watch intently as he takes his seat back, and soon we're playing a game of cat and mouse. Who's going to stay away the longest, and who's going to break? If I play my cards right, he'll be the one breaking. But I have a feeling I'm no longer in control of my emotions. Chapter 6. Cecilia. The mood lightens once our food arrives, and Bentley begins telling me more about the company. I ask him questions, and he happily answers them. I dig for as much information as I can. Anything that will help lead me to the answers I want.
This is starting to feel like an interrogation, he says once we've finished our food. I think it's time for 20 questions, lightning round style.
I flash him a confused look, and he laughs.
I'm going to ask you questions as fast as I can, and you have to answer them all as fast as you can.
That sounds painful, I giggle, but I'll try it. He smirks as he casually places his arms on top of his desk in front of me.
Okay, ready?
I nod. Bring it. He locks eyes with me as he begins his questions.
Favorite food?
Italian.
Favorite color?
Red.
Favorite thing to wear to bed?
A tank top and shorts.
First boyfriend's name?
Malcolm.
Age when you lost your virginity?
I try not to laugh at the absurd questions, because he's taking this so seriously. So I match his expression. I fold my hands on top of the desk and lock eyes with him as I answer. 16 and a half. He smirks.
Favorite position?
This doesn't sound very job-related.
No breaking the rules, Cece.
Bentley rolls the sound of my name with seduction, making sure I listen to his made-up game. I swallow. The roller coaster. I read an article about it in Cosmo, and it sounds like something that'll get his attention. And it does. He raises an eyebrow at me, and I can tell he wants to ask me what exactly that is, because only girls really know names of positions, so I'm assuming he's clueless on what exactly I mean.
Don't think we're not getting back to that one.
He cocks a grin. We'll see. He laughs.
Worst grade you ever got?
B+.
Goody two-shoes.
He jives. I just shake my head at him.
The most interesting place you've ever had sex before?
I see the game he's playing. 1 or 2 innocent questions before he pops in a sexual one. At work. I instantly close my eyes the second the words come out. Now he'll get ideas in his head for sure. I hear him swallow. Hard. I open my eyes and see he's adjusting himself. Now he's hard. Fuck. That's hot to see Bentley all sexually frustrated. I never noticed a guy adjusting his pants as much as Bentley does, and for some reason, it turns me on. It's hot, seeing what I do to him, and suddenly my body and heart are no longer fighting. They're on the same level, matching heartbeats and sexual desires. I grin and lean over the desk to where his hands are resting. Are you all right over there?
I'd be better if I wasn't rock hard getting blue balls,
he responds bluntly. I can't help but notice how thick he looks under his pants. I can feel my cheeks heat up, but I quickly remind myself I can't show him that side of me. I keep my stance, not wanting to show how much that affects me. I could Google some of those bikini bimbos and get their numbers. I'm sure one of them could help you out with your, issue? Bentley walks around the desk and aggressively grabs my hand.
You want to feel what you do to me, Cece.
He wraps both of our hands around his thick,
growing erection. Do you want to know what you've been doing to me since the second I first met you? My eyes halt on the firm bulge our hands are now grasping. I swallow in anticipation, but fear isn't too far behind. I'm not used to boys, rather men, coming on to me so strong. You're blunt, I blurt out. Well, why shouldn't I be? When I know what I want, who I want, I go for it. He says in all seriousness. My heart practically stops at his confession. I'm unsure how to handle him. If I can handle him. Then again, I'm insanely attracted to him. I mean, who wouldn't be? And if I make a scene now, something a young, inexperienced girl would do, I'd lose any chance of coming back and finding the information that I need. I couldn't let him see that side of me. Not that I want to make a scene, but I'll do anything to get what I need, to find the truth. I surprise myself when I allow him to move our hands up and down his thick length. My breath hitches as I feel his shaft stretching under the heat of my hand. He's so close, making my body burn and my mind spiral out of control. I moan as our hands stroke his shaft together. He's just what I imagined, thick and large, larger than I've ever felt before. Do you feel that, Cece? Mm-hmm. I moan, my eyes closing on their own accord. My entire body is trembling. My skin is covered in goosebumps, and my pussy is throbbing as I feel the fabric of his slacks around my hand. I can feel Bentley's face close to mine. I lick my lips in anticipation, but before his mouth can meet mine, his cell phone rings, alarming both of us and making us immediately come apart. Fuck, he growls. He searches for his phone in his pocket and curses again when he sees the name on the screen. What? He barks. This is not a good time. He turns and faces the window as he shifts his pants back into place. I can tell he's trying to tame himself, and I take that as my cue to get the hell out. I need to stay focused, on task. I'm here for one reason and one reason only. Or so I keep telling myself. I sit anxiously as I continue reading through open cases and scanning in transcripts. I'm not sure what I'm looking for, but when I see it, I'll know. I feel Bentley behind me before I see him. My body instantly shivers and feels cold when he walks in. I continue what I'm doing and ignore the fact that his body continues to get closer to mine. I apologize for that earlier. He begins in a more natural tone. He doesn't sound as tense, but he's not demanding either. It's fine. I wave him off, not turning around to look at him. It was a weak moment. It'll never happen again. I hope that he accepts that and walks out so I can continue reading through files. He grabs my chair and jerks it around, so I'm forced to face him. My eyes widen on instinct as I brace myself for what's to come. I wasn't apologizing for that. I look up at him, and his eyes are no longer soft. He looks angry. Hungry, almost. I was apologizing for having to take the fucking phone call. Oh. I sound weak, but I can't help it. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. My mind and body are at complete odds right now, and all I can think of when he stares at me like that is how good it would feel to have his hands all over me. Shit. Focus. Stay focused. Cece, he growls, leaning his face in closer to mine. Fuck focused. I just want you to know, in case your mind is racing 1,000 miles per hour like mine is, that I don't do this. I don't go around groping my interns or people I work with.
I swallow. I know he's trying to be genuine, but I just can't take how serious he's being. It's making me uncomfortable and antsy. Oh, so I get to be your first, I taunt. He grabs me harshly and pulls me up, so we're now standing chest to chest.
Perhaps you didn't hear me correctly, he barks. I've never been like this with someone I work with, and definitely not someone I just met. I was trying to be nice instead of a fucking asshole and tell you so you wouldn't think I was just using you.
Well, aren't you? I mean, for your... I look down at his reappearing bulge. Needs?
I don't need interns to take care of that for me,
he spits back. What makes you think I'm not using you? You think you're the only person capable of doing so? I challenge, and I see the amusement in his eyes. He thinks I'm full of shit. So I continue playing. Women like sex just as much as men do.
Is that so? He grins. I have yet to meet another woman who can keep up with me.
I may not be as experienced in the world of sex, but I don't let that scare me from accepting his challenge. Let me be your first one. Bentley's mouth slams into mine before I can react. Right before our lips make contact, he stares at me as if I'm his last meal. He's devouring me as such, but his hands are firm and gripping me tight. I reciprocate his moves, dancing my tongue with his and grinding my body against his. I can feel him growing harder and hungrier with need. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't feeling the same way. I've never been with a guy before that knew what he was doing, and I have a feeling Bentley knows exactly what he's doing. His hands wrap around my waist as he pulls me closer to his chest. Our mouths explore each other, both fighting for the control that we crave. But I surrender and let him take the lead. My body is seizing in about 100 places as I melt into his touch and lips. Being with a guy that I feel physically attracted to is something new, something I was oblivious to. I've liked boys before, but never felt this way and to this extent. This must be the difference between a boy and a man. Bentley gave no apologies for his domineering behavior. He took what he wanted, and I willingly gave it. This was new. But now that I've had a taste, I was more than willing to dive in. He quickly breaks the kiss and pants against my lips as he rests his forehead on mine. His eyes are closed, and I can tell he's having an inner battle with himself just as I am. Part devil and part angel are having a full-out wrestling match in my head. The throbbing in between my legs proves which one will eventually win. I've never felt such a desire before. It's something that's been awakened, and now it wants to be fed. He backs away while licking his lips. He never takes his eyes off mine as he makes his way out the door and soon out of sight. I stand there, wondering if that really did just happen. Before I leave, I knock on his office door to let him know it's time for me to go. He's sitting in his chair casually, as if he's been waiting for me. I'm, heading home now. I scanned in transcripts and decoded some of the files. Perhaps you can teach me something new next week. I really meant it as a teaching question, but soon realized he would take it as something else. For the job, I mean. I clarify, and he laughs.
Absolutely. I'll teach you whatever you want to know.
Great. I smile weakly. Well, I'll see you.
Wait.
He interrupts.
I set up an email account for you, in case I need to get a hold of you before next Saturday.
He holds out a business card where he's written down the information. I walk toward him and grab it. I study it carefully and ask, "Why would you need to get a hold of me? I mean, it's not like I do any real work around here.
That may be true, but you are scanning in files that haven't been evaluated in years. I might need some of your new, profound knowledge.
He's eyeing me carefully, and I know he's full of shit. However, I take it willingly and thank him.
I'll see you soon, Cece.
His voice is filled with amusement, but for some reason, I don't think he's joking. In fact, I think he's dead serious, and that scares the living shit out of me.
Chapter 7. Bentley. The Invitation. I wake up Sunday morning with the taste of her still on my lips. I don't want to go another week without talking to her, so I start thinking of things I can email her. My mind is preoccupied the entire time I'm having brunch with my parents. It's a tradition we do every Sunday, and although it makes me feel like a child that I'm told to go, I like that we make time for each other since the rest of the week is busy with work. "So, Bentley, did you hear about the Montgomerys?" my mother asks, breaking me out of my trance. "The Montgomerys?" I rack my brain quick. "Oh, you mean how Mrs. Montgomery smuggled millions of dollars out of the country? Of course I heard about that." I just shrug at the story that's headlined most of the local news. The Montgomerys are like royalty in Nebraska. Mr. Montgomery's the state senator who married a woman half his age. "Well, anyway, sounds like they're going to brush it under the rug and keep it tight-lipped." I hear the annoyance in her tone. "I don't doubt that. I've written a few news pieces on it, but if they'd ever get the damn police files, I could write an actual report on it. People like her shouldn't get away with shit like that." "Enough about work, son," my father interrupts. "What's going on with your new intern? I haven't heard a thing, and it's been, what, 2 weeks?" I shift uncomfortably in my chair at the mention of Cece. My mind has been wondering about her since yesterday, and she was the last thing I wanted to talk about with my parents. It's working out great, I guess." I try to sound casual so they don't suspect anything. "I've been showing her how to use the software, scanning in documents, reading transcripts, and teaching her the basics. It's only been a couple weeks, so as time goes on, I'll teach her more," I reply honestly, because there's a lot more I want to teach her. "Excellent." He smiles wide. If there were one plus to this whole being forced to work in your family's company, it was seeing him proud of me. I love knowing he's happy with my work. "I knew you'd figure out how to train someone underneath you." I grin to myself as I imagine her underneath me. After the not-so-brutal brunch with my parents, I head back home and pace the living room until I finally build up the nerve to email her. To cwest@layton.com. From blayton@layton.com. Subject, company policy. Cece, I apologize for interrupting your Sunday. I forgot to give you the necessary paperwork while you were here. It's company policy that I give you these. Attached below is the company handbook. Please look it over. Mr. Layton. I don't know why I'm so eager for her to respond, but it'll make me think she's thinking of me as much as I'm thinking of her. After our kiss, my entire body has been tense, and all I want is to feel her lips against mine again. My phone beeps, signaling I have a new email. To blayton@layton.com from cwest@layton.com. Subject, RE company policy? ? Mr. Layton, do you ever take a day off? I've been there 2 Saturdays now. Ironic how you forgot. I will familiarize myself with the company handbook right away. Cece. I smirk as I read her email at least 3 times. Such a cocky-mouthed smartass. And I love it. She's not intimidated by me, yet she has to submit to my demands in order to keep her internship. And that is driving me fucking insane. I want any excuse to keep talking to her, but I know I have to keep my distance before I become too obvious. Oh, fuck it. To cwest@layton.com, from blayton@layton.com. Subject, RE company policy? Yes, I'm aware. I was a bit distracted. Mr. Layton. It's a risky move, but I hope she gets what I'm saying. And now my cock wakes up, begging for attention as I think of Cece and the way she teases me without even knowing it. Or perhaps she does. I need to do something to get her off my mind. Anything. I grab my gym bag and decide to go for a workout. Lifting and burning my sexual frustrations off will give me a clear head. Yes, that'll work. And then my phone beeps again. To blayton@layton.com, from cwest@layton.com, subject RERE company policy, ? I noticed. Enjoy your day, Mr. Layton. Cece. I smile as I hear her seductive voice, although her email reads so professionally. I don't know why I read her email over and over as if there's some secret code I'm searching for, but I do. I work out harder than I have in weeks. I run myself until my legs feel like jelly. I lift until I can no longer lift. I completely sweat through my shirt before leaving. And my mind is still running of thoughts of her. Except now it's worse. The sound of her voice, the way her shapely legs walk in that skirt, the way her fingers carelessly brush against me. It's all too consuming, and I have no idea why. By Wednesday, my mind hasn't cleared at all. If anything, it's even more clogged than before, and I come to the conclusion that I need to see her and know more about her. I don't care what it takes. My condo is 20 minutes from work, and by the time I arrive at my office, I've already called in a favor. My secret weapon to seeing Cece. To cwest@layton.com, from blayton@layton.com, subject, invitation. Cece. There's a criminology presentation with special guest speakers taking place at the Windover Center tomorrow evening that I think will benefit you greatly in your major and the internship. I have a ticket for you. It starts at 7 p.m. Bentley. I decide to sign as Bentley, hoping she notices the transition from boss to date. I grin as I hit the send button. I don't want it to be obvious that this is my way of seeing her again, but if I request her presence for learning purposes, there's a better chance of her coming. I can tell how much passion and interest she has in criminology, so it's my best bet of seeing her outside of work. I wait, impatiently, until I hear the sound of a new message. To blayton@layton.com, from cwest@layton.com, subject, RE invitation. Bentley, thank you so much for thinking of me. Sounds like something I'd greatly benefit from. Please have the ticket waiting for me at check-in. Cece. She's either extremely naive or playing hard to get. Either way, I'm going to play.
Chapter 8. Cecilia. I immediately get online to look up tomorrow's presentation. My eyes bulge out of my head as I see it's for elite members only. Bentley must have pulled some strings to get me that ticket. I rub my shoulder anxiously as I wait for the response of his email. I can't understand why he's going through so much trouble for me. Unless he truly believes in me enough to give me this chance and opportunity to learn more from him. Which in that case makes him about 100 times hotter than he is already. I've never met someone like him, someone so intimidating, yet weak. Perhaps he's just weak when he's around me. But if that's the case, that's exactly the angle I need to get into the files of my dad's case. I sit nervously in my last class waiting for my phone to vibrate with a new message. And then finally, it does. To cwest@layton.com, from blayton@layton.com. Subject, invitation. You'll be accompanying me, Cece. Meet me at Sebastian's Steakhouse at 5 p.m. Bentley. Holy shit. Now we're going to dinner first? This guy was horrible at asking for things. Instead, he took them. No, he demanded them. I clenched my thighs together at just the thought of being alone with him in a restaurant. Sebastian's was a fancier restaurant, much more romantic than a boss-intern dinner should be. My mind floods with nerves as I anticipate seeing Bentley again. Outside of work this time. Bentley wasn't a boy. He's a man, an older man who could make or break me. A man who could give me everything and more. A man I could see myself falling hard for. I could barely focus on Simon as we hung out the following day. He ranted for hours about Cora and how could she hook up with Lance and blah, blah. Like I said, I couldn't focus and really have no idea what he said. My mind and body were still in an aftershock from the events of kissing Bentley. The more I thought about it, the more I wanted more of it. I didn't care how wrong it was or that I was lying to him about who I was. I didn't want to let that get in the way of being around him, even if it could come back to bite me in the ass. "Why are you so giddy?" Cora asks me in between class periods. "I'm not giddy," I retort. "I'm always this way." She looks down at my books and takes notice of the newest Cosmo magazine lying on top. "You are so not always this way, Cecilia Rose West. Something is up with you." She eyes me curiously, and I can't stop the stupid grin from forming on my face. "Okay, fine, I met a guy, and we're going out tonight for the first time," I blurt out. And it feels so good to get that off my chest. She screeches to a halt. "What?" I decide to leave out that it's with my boss where I'm working on a fake internship. "Tone it down, Cora," I hush her. I bump my hip with hers to get her to cool it. "It's not that big of a deal," I lie. Inside, I was screaming. "This is a huge deal." She links her arm with mine as we continue walking. "Give me the details right now, woman." "Well, he's older, so that's why I haven't said much, and it's new and weird and—" "Hot?" she finishes, raising her eyebrows. I laugh as she teases me. "Yes, he's hot. The kiss was pretty hot, too." "Damn, girl, you are smitten." "I am so not smitten. Have you ever seen me smitten?" "Nope. That's exactly how I know that you are. You have never been this way with guys before." "That's because guys our age are immature and annoying. There was nothing to be smitten about," I joke. "So true," she breathes out and laughs. "I'll tell you more later." I promise, because I know she's going to beg for answers, and I usually tell Cora everything, so she knows I'll come clean eventually. I just need to make sure to cover my bases, so I don't get either of us in trouble for lying. I can't stop the smiling as I get dressed and ready for my work event tonight. I find a classy but simple black dress in my sister's closet with some red heels, making my whole outfit pop. I don't want to be overdressed or look like I'm trying too hard, but I want to look good for Bentley. I'm sweating as I drive anxiously. I arrive at the steakhouse promptly at 4:50 p.m. Being around him at work is different. It's business, but now this feels much more intimate. We're going to be in a date-type setting, and the butterflies in my stomach won't quit. I'm obviously attracted to him, but the part of me that wants to let go and let him in is fighting against bricks to keep him away. Deep down, I know it's a bad idea, but my body doesn't agree. My body craves every inch of him. I tell the host who I am and that I'm waiting for Mr. Layton. He gives me a head nod as he grabs a menu and says, "This way, Miss West." I nervously follow behind him, taking in the setting. The lights are dim, and every table is full of couples sitting in a very close, intimate way, with candles lit in the middle. It feels as if I've lost my voice as I thank the host for escorting me to my table where Bentley is patiently waiting for me. His face is intense, barely showing any emotion. I swallow nervously as I eye him. The host goes to slide my chair out, but Bentley stops him. "I'll do that." He stands up quickly, and the host backs away. Bentley doesn't say a word to me as he grabs my chair and motions for me to sit down. The host places my menu in front of me, and I quietly thank him again. In the office, work setting, I feel confident and invincible. But not here. I feel intimidated, weak, and hopeless. "You look beautiful," he finally says, sitting casually across from me. "Thanks," I gulp as I take in his intense stare. He's eyeing me, not giving any part of what he's thinking away. "This place is really nice." I try to make conversation in order to ease my nerves, but the still way he's sitting and staring at me is putting me on edge. "Have you never been here before?" he asks with amusement. This was a 5-star, top-notch restaurant that took weeks to get reservations for. Certainly, something not a typical college-aged student has ever been to. Rather, I shrug off his amusement and try to relax. "Oh, sure. I come here whenever I feel the need to drop a few hundred." That earns a small grin, and finally, my body eases into the chair. "Only a few hundred?" he muses. "Clearly, you aren't ordering the right wine, then." My heart stops as I realize he's going to want to order alcohol. I don't have Casey's ID with me. Shit. How could I not think of that? I laugh so he doesn't see my mini heart attack. "I guess so." "Are you excited for tonight's presentation?" My eyes widen as he brings up lighter conversation about something that makes me more comfortable. "Yes, absolutely. You must have had to pull some mad strings to get those tickets," I gush. "I have a friend." He responds casually and shrugs as if it's no big deal. "A friend who apparently can pull some strings." I grin. He flashes a cocky smirk. "Something like that?" I feel like an idiot as it finally registers in my mind. He's fucking Bentley Layton. He probably gets whatever he wants whenever he wants it. And that should scare the hell out of me. The power he has, holds, controls. A sudden chill radiates my body as I think about what I'm doing, what game I'm playing. I grab my menu and stare at it intently to get my mind to calm down. He sits with one leg propped up on his knee as his body is angled toward mine. He probably comes here so much he has the damn thing memorized. "So, what's good?" I ask simply, smiling at him over my menu. He's watching me as if he's waiting for something magical to happen. "Everything, of course." He grins, and then it hits me. "Let me guess. You own this place, or your family does, or a friend of the family?" He laughs lightly and shakes his head no. "You have 6 food options plus the couple of specials they offer, so really, everything is good here." I was staring so hard at the menu to distract myself that I hadn't even realized. He's right. There are literally 6 things to choose from. What the hell? This is the weirdest restaurant I've ever been to before. A little different than my McDonald's tradition. I joke, as if I live on a college student's salary. He doesn't even crack a smile, and I see his mind spinning as he eyes me with concern. "I'm kidding," I finally say. His face relaxes a bit, but it's still tense. "It's between that and ramen noodles." I cock a smile, so he finally loosens up.
"That makes me feel a whole lot better."
"Oh, come on. That's like the college lifestyle." I smile and finally feel comfortable with our easygoing banter. "Well, for poor students," I add, getting him to laugh.
"I guess I deserved that."
I smirk and shrug unapologetically. A waiter greets us, finally, and before he can ask
RE company policy ? I noticed. Enjoy your day, Mr. Layton. Cece. I smile as I hear her seductive voice, although her email reads so professionally. I don't know why I read her email over and over as if there's some secret code I'm searching for, but I do. I work out harder than I have in weeks. I run myself until my legs feel like jelly. I lift until I can no longer lift. I completely sweat through my shirt before leaving. And my mind is still running of thoughts of her. Except now it's worse. The sound of her voice, the way her shapely legs walk in that skirt, the way her fingers carelessly brush against me. It's all too consuming, and I have no idea why. By Wednesday, my mind hasn't cleared at all. If anything, it's even more clogged than before, and I come to the conclusion that I need to see her and know more about her. I don't care what it takes. My condo is 20 minutes from work, and by the time I arrive at my office, I've already called in a favor. My secret weapon to seeing Cece. To cwest@layton.com, from blayton@layton.com. Subject, invitation. Cece. There's a criminology presentation with special guest speakers taking place at the Windover Center tomorrow evening that I think will benefit you greatly in your major and the internship. I have a ticket for you. It starts at 7 p.m. Bentley. I decide to sign as Bentley, hoping she notices the transition from boss to date. I grin as I hit the send button. I don't want it to be obvious that this is my way of seeing her again, but if I request her presence for learning purposes, there's a better chance of her coming. I can tell how much passion and interest she has in criminology, so it's my best bet of seeing her outside of work. I wait, impatiently, until I hear the sound of a new message. To blayton@layton.com, from cwest@layton.com. Subject, RE invitation. Bentley. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Sounds like something I'd greatly benefit from. Please have the ticket waiting for me at check-in. Cece. She's either extremely naive or playing hard to get. Either way, I'm going to play.
Chapter 8. Cecilia. I immediately get online to look up tomorrow's presentation. My eyes bulge out of my head as I see it's for elite members only. Bentley must have pulled some strings to get me that ticket. I rub my shoulder anxiously as I wait for the response of his email. I can't understand why he's going through so much trouble for me. Unless he truly believes in me enough to give me this chance and opportunity to learn more from him, which in that case makes him about 100 times hotter than he is already. I've never met someone like him, someone so intimidating, yet weak. Perhaps he's just weak when he's around me. But if that's the case, that's exactly the angle I need to get into the files of my dad's case. I sit nervously in my last class, waiting for my phone to vibrate with a new message. And then finally, it does. To cwest@layton.com, from blayton@layton.com. Subject, invitation. You'll be accompanying me, Cece. Meet me at Sebastian's Steakhouse at 5 p.m. Bentley. Holy shit. Now we're going to dinner first? This guy was horrible at asking for things. Instead, he took them. No, he demanded them. I clenched my thighs together at just the thought of being alone with him in a restaurant. Sebastian's was a fancier restaurant, much more romantic than a boss-intern dinner should be. My mind floods with nerves as I anticipate seeing Bentley again. Outside of work this time. Bentley wasn't a boy. He's a man, an older man who could make or break me. A man who could give me everything and more. A man I could see myself falling hard for. I could barely focus on Simon as we hung out the following day. He ranted for hours about Cora and how could she hook up with Lance and blah, blah. Like I said, I couldn't focus and really have no idea what he said. My mind and body were still in an aftershock from the events of kissing Bentley. The more I thought about it, the more I wanted more of it. I didn't care how wrong it was or that I was lying to him about who I was. I didn't want to let that get in the way of being around him, even if it could come back to bite me in the ass. "Why are you so giddy?" Cora asks me in between class periods. "I'm not giddy," I retort. "I'm always this way." She looks down at my books and takes notice of the newest Cosmo magazine lying on top. "You are so not always this way, Cecilia Rose West. Something is up with you." She eyes me curiously, and I can't stop the stupid grin from forming on my face. "Okay, fine, I met a guy, and we're going out tonight for the first time," I blurt out. And it feels so good to get that off my chest. She screeches to a halt. "What?" I decide to leave out that it's with my boss where I'm working on a fake internship. "Tone it down, Cora." I hush her. I bump my hip with hers to get her to cool it. "It's not that big of a deal," I lie. Inside, I was screaming. "This is a huge deal." She links her arm with mine as we continue walking. "Give me the details right now, woman." "Well, he's older, so that's why I haven't said much, and it's new and weird and—" "Hot?" she finishes, raising her eyebrows. I laugh as she teases me. "Yes, he's hot. The kiss was pretty hot, too." "Damn, girl, you are smitten." "I am so not smitten. Have you ever seen me smitten?" "Nope. That's exactly how I know that you are. You have never been this way with guys before." "That's because guys our age are immature and annoying. There was nothing to be smitten about," I joke. "So true," she breathes out and laughs. "I'll tell you more later." I promise, because I know she's going to beg for answers, and I usually tell Cora everything, so she knows I'll come clean eventually. I just need to make sure to cover my bases, so I don't get either of us in trouble for lying. I can't stop the smiling as I get dressed and ready for my work event tonight. I find a classy but simple black dress in my sister's closet with some red heels, making my whole outfit pop. I don't want to be overdressed or look like I'm trying too hard, but I want to look good for Bentley. I'm sweating as I drive anxiously. I arrive at the steakhouse promptly at 4:50 p.m. Being around him at work is different. It's business, but now this feels much more intimate. We're going to be in a date-type setting, and the butterflies in my stomach won't quit. I'm obviously attracted to him, but the part of me that wants to let go and let him in is fighting against bricks to keep him away. Deep down, I know it's a bad idea, but my body doesn't agree. My body craves every inch of him. I tell the host who I am and that I'm waiting for Mr. Layton. He gives me a head nod as he grabs a menu and says, "This way, Miss West." I nervously follow behind him, taking in the setting. The lights are dim, and every table is full of couples sitting in a very close, intimate way, with candles lit in the middle. It feels as if I've lost my voice as I thank the host for escorting me to my table where Bentley is patiently waiting for me. His face is intense, barely showing any emotion. I swallow nervously as I eye him. The host goes to slide my chair out, but Bentley stops him. "I'll do that." He stands up quickly, and the host backs away. Bentley doesn't say a word to me as he grabs my chair and motions for me to sit down. The host places my menu in front of me, and I quietly thank him again. In the office, work setting, I feel confident and invincible. But not here. I feel intimidated, weak, and hopeless. "You look beautiful," he finally says, sitting casually across from me. "Thanks," I gulp as I take in his intense stare. He's eyeing me, not giving any part of what he's thinking away. "This place is really nice." I try to make conversation in order to ease my nerves, but the still way he's sitting and staring at me is putting me on edge. "Have you never been here before?" he asks with amusement. This was a 5-star, top-notch restaurant that took weeks to get reservations for. Certainly, something not a typical college-aged student has ever been to. Rather, I shrug off his amusement and try to relax. "Oh, sure. I come here whenever I feel the need to drop a few hundred." That earns a small grin, and finally, my body eases into the chair. "Only a few hundred?" he muses. "Clearly, you aren't ordering the right wine, then." My heart stops as I realize he's going to want to order alcohol. I don't have Casey's ID with me. Shit. How could I not think of that? I laugh so he doesn't see my mini heart attack. "I guess so." "Are you excited for tonight's presentation?" My eyes widen as he brings up lighter conversation about something that makes me more comfortable. "Yes, absolutely. You must have had to pull some mad strings to get those tickets," I gush. "I have a friend." He responds casually and shrugs as if it's no big deal. "A friend who apparently can pull some strings." I grin. He flashes a cocky smirk. "Something like that?" I feel like an idiot as it finally registers in my mind. He's fucking Bentley Layton. He probably gets whatever he wants whenever he wants it. And that should scare the hell out of me. The power he has, holds, controls. A sudden chill radiates my body as I think about what I'm doing, what game I'm playing. I grab my menu and stare at it intently to get my mind to calm down. He sits with one leg propped up on his knee as his body is angled toward mine. He probably comes here so much he has the damn thing memorized. "So, what's good?" I ask simply, smiling at him over my menu. He's watching me as if he's waiting for something magical to happen. "Everything, of course." He grins, and then it hits me. "Let me guess. You own this place, or your family does, or a friend of the family?" He laughs lightly and shakes his head no. "You have 6 food options plus the couple of specials they offer, so really, everything is good here." I was staring so hard at the menu to distract myself that I hadn't even realized. He's right. There are literally 6 things to choose from. What the hell? This is the weirdest restaurant I've ever been to before. A little different than my McDonald's tradition. I joke, as if I live on a college student's salary. He doesn't even crack a smile, and I see his mind spinning as he eyes me with concern. I'm kidding, I finally say. His face relaxes a bit, but it's still tense. It's between that and ramen noodles. I cock a smile, so he finally loosens up.
That makes me feel a whole lot better.
Oh, come on. That's like the college lifestyle. I smile and finally feel comfortable with our easygoing banter. Well, for poor students, I add, getting him to laugh.
I guess I deserved that.
I smirk and shrug unapologetically. A waiter greets us, finally, and before he can ask us our order, Bentley rambles off some kind of bottle of wine. I'm fully ready to turn down the offer and tell him I don't drink as he asks for ID, but he never does. He simply nods and accepts every word Bentley says.
I think you'll enjoy the house steak with the red wine.
Sounds good. I rest my menu down as the waiter soaks up every word and says he'll be right back with our wine and bread. He grabs our menus and walks away, leaving me alone with Bentley with nothing to hide behind. So, do you go to these presentations often? I cross my legs and keep my eyes locked on his. I have to take back the control. I can't let myself be intimidated by him. He waves his head back and forth before answering.
No, not really. I did in college, but not since I've started at the company.
Well, what should I expect?
You should expect to see a lot of old men.
I burst out in a laugh. Is that so?
Nah, just kidding. There might be some college-aged and some professors.
Well, I'm intrigued. I'll take any opportunity to learn more.
I can teach you anything, Cece.
His voice is low and deep, as if he's completely serious.
Anything you want to know about journalism and criminology, consider me your endless source of information.
He continues genuinely. I see the confidence in him, and I know his words have a double meaning. You're pretty egotistical for a guy that just graduated a couple years ago.
I prefer confident.
He grins. I bet you do. I try my best to hide my smile, but he notices. The waiter returns with our bottle of wine. I watch as he pours my glass first and then turns to pour Bentley's. He stands and waits as Bentley sips it before giving the waiter a nod of approval.
I'm guessing you don't drink wine much.
He held his glass up and swirls it. I love how you have me pegged with barely knowing me, I say sardonically.
Well, college honor student, works for free on the weekends, lives off ramen noodles. I'm guessing you're the typical poor college student. You study too much to work, and seeing that you work for free on Saturdays and study all week, you have no life outside of college, which means you don't have a boyfriend, or any that know how to take you out.
Very observant. I grab my glass and close my eyes as I inhale the scent. I swirl it before bringing my lips to the glass and taking a sip. I moan out slowly as I enjoy the taste burning down my throat.
Jesus,
I hear him growl before opening my eyes. His face is pale, but his eyes are wide and hungry with need.
Or you have dated a winemaker,
he jokes. I saw that in a movie once, I say honestly, laughing. I've always wanted to try it. The corners of his lips curl up in a smile. What? I ask, feeling self-conscious as his continuous stare becomes more intense.
There's just something about you, Cece. You're bold and fearless, yet there's such an adolescent side to you that makes you adorable.
He's playing with his glass as if he's nervous about being honest with me. adolescent side. Are you calling me a baby? I tease.
Well, if baby's what you like to be called.
He places his foot on the ground and sits up, leaning closer into the table and bringing his face closer to mine.
Otherwise, there's plenty of other names I can call you.
He threatens in a teasing tone. I swallow and smile at his flirty attempt. Is that normal for a boss to call an intern?
No.
He doesn't move. Breaking your own rules? I lean in toward him, challenging him to his own game.
What rules?
His eyes give me a questioning look. I get lost in Bentley's face and start studying the curves of his features. His hair is brushed back slightly, purposely messy, as his groomed beard is perfect in length. His sideburns are thicker and run into his facial hair. I imagine my fingers intertwining in his golden locks as he wraps me up in his arms, assaulting my lips as our tongues tango together.
Cece.
His deep, pained voice shakes me out of my fantasy. I clear my throat before speaking. The company handbook, I remind him. Any relationships formed within the office are strictly forbidden. I quote right from the handbook that he emailed me. His lips form a cocky grin as he shifts in his chair.
You read the company handbook, did you?
He asks, surprised. Well, it's company policy, I quip.
So you aren't a rule breaker.
I can tell he's testing me, but I know what he really wants to know. Am I willing to break the rules for him? You've seen my portfolio. Does it say I am? I ask with seduction laced in my voice.
It says you're a fast learner, and that you're willing to learn new things.
That I am. I wink, and I can tell I just gave him the green light.
Chapter 9. Bentley. Breaking the rules. Watching her squirm is one of the hottest things I've ever seen. She acts so confident and cocky on the outside, but on the inside, she's a timid girl not wanting to show her true self to anyone. She's hiding something. Once our meal arrives, she relaxes a bit. Her open, edgy, carefree attitude returns as we ease into simple conversation. She continues to ask me about my work and favorite cases I've worked on, and I ask her about her family and classes. What happened to your dad? I ask as I cut into my steak. She fidgets a little before responding. He, left when I was 11 years old. I haven't seen him since. Her eyes are glued to her plate, and I know I've hit a sore topic. I'm sorry. Instinctively, I reach across the table and grab her hand. You don't have to talk about it. She finally looks up and smiles weakly. There's not much to say. She shrugs. I continue holding her hand and rub my thumb over hers in comfort. It seems to help, and she relaxes again. I take care of the check and escort her out of the restaurant. She begins fidgeting in her purse and asks, Should I just follow you? I grab her hand to stop her from searching for her keys. No, I'm driving. I want Cece next to me for as long as I can get. A part of me knows she's too good for me. She's smart, funny, and I can tell she's a genuinely good person. But the other part is too selfish to back off. I want her. All right, she says, letting me grab her hand and hold it as I lead her to my car. Her small hand fits perfectly in mine, and I'm already dreading having to let it go. You drive? I'd figured you'd have a 24/7 chauffeur. I guide us to her side of the car and back her up into the door without opening it. Do you even know what kind of car this is? She glances over her shoulder and looks. A black one? I smirk at her innocence. It's a Range Rover 4th edition, No way in hell I'd let someone else drive that. She looks over one more time before speaking. Looks roomy. You want to see how much room there is? I assume you paid extra for that. She grins confidently. The extra large package? I can feel the intense heat between us and know she feels it too. Her skin pricks and goosebumps every time I touch her, and she's arching her hips toward me, begging for me to press my body against hers. Okay, you've gotten enough money jabs at me for one night, don't you think? She pulls her lips in as if she's thinking hard about it. I may or may not have a few more, she challenges. I guess I'm going to have to find a way to shut that pretty mouth up. I lean into her body like she's secretly begging me to, resting one hand behind her and one hand around her waist. That's a very backward compliment, she breathes out, and I can tell she's fighting an inner battle with herself, which, if I do this right, she'll soon be losing. Backward? Are we talking positions already? Because we have yet to go back to that roller coaster comment. I lean my body into hers, only holding us up with my hand behind her. Her body stills as she sucks in a breath. She's focusing on my chest, and I can't tear my eyes away from her mouth. She arches her hips into me and feels the hard bulge now formed. She gasps lightly as her body squirms to start a rhythm with mine. Cece, I growl, tilting her chin up to make eye contact with me. Her expression isn't fear, but desire, and I can tell she's feeling the same way I am, desperate and hungry for more. I lean in and bring my lips to her ear. As much as I want to fuck you against this car, I promised you a presentation tonight. I lean back and kiss the corners of her mouth. She simply nods, and reluctantly, I pull away to grab the door and escort her into her seat. As soon as I begin driving, I grab her hand and place it in mine. She rests it on my leg, which is probably the worst fucking spot for any contact. The drive is comfortable and quiet as we listen to music. I watch her out of the corner of my eye and see her sinking into the seat as she patiently waits for us to get to our destination. Walking in with a beautiful girl like Cece doesn't go unnoticed by the rest of the men sitting nearby. They're like vultures ready to jump on their prey and rip her apart for themselves. I rest one ankle on my knee as I wrap my arm around her, claiming her. I dip my face into her neck and whisper, "You better stay close before you are eaten alive by the rest of the audience." Before I pull back, she turns her head and responds, "Maybe I like being eaten alive." She cocks a smile. My head falls back as I groan. "You're killing me." I growl close to her ear. "I'm going to sit here the entire time with a hard-on." Her eyes immediately go to the noticeable tent in my pants, and she laughs. "It must suck to be a guy," she teases. "You think you're the only one that can play this game?" I breathe into her ear, and she shivers against me. That's what I thought. The lights dim as the speaker walks on stage, welcoming and thanking everyone for coming. Luckily, no one is sitting close to us, giving me a green light for what I'm about to do. I casually move my arm and lay it against her bare thigh. I squeeze tightly as my fingers inch up her leg, pushing her dress up with them. I can tell how aroused she is from the way she squirms under my hand. Heat radiates between her legs as my fingers continue rubbing against her. Her hand grabs mine as she tries to force it off her leg. She barely has any strength against my hand, and it's comical as I watch her try. "What's the matter, sweetheart?" I whisper, letting my tongue vibrate against her ear. "You think it's funny now?" I slip my pinky inside the lace of her underwear and her breath catches. She sinks lower into her seat, no longer fighting me. Another finger slips in and pushes her panties out of the way. I lean in as I whisper, "Tell me to stop, Cece. If this breaks your rules, tell me to stop." Her eyes are closed, and I can tell she's fighting with herself to say the words. Her mouth parts slightly as she sharply inhales. I work my fingers harder against her, making sure that I'm not obvious as to what I'm doing to the people behind us, but that only gets me harder knowing we're in a public place. "Bentley," she finally breathes out. Her tiny voice whimpering my name just about makes me come undone. I'm ready to sweep her out of here and fuck her against the nearest wall. I feel her body tense up, ready to explode around my fingers. I bring my lips back to her ear as I aggressively pull my fingers out. "I want to hear you scream my name when you come. So until then, you'll have to wait." Her eyes flash open as she intently stares me down, obviously shocked by my quick exit. Now we both suffer in sexual frustration. "That's cruel," she spits out in a hushed tone. "No, sweetheart. What's cruel is getting me all worked up with no outlet." I kiss her cheek softly. "You'll be paying for that later." I feel her shiver under me, and I know she wants it as badly as I do. But the anticipation is killing me. Knowing she's interning for another 3 months puts me in a really hard position. I watch as Cece is completely captivated by the speaker and their presentations. It's everything I already know and have learned from working the past couple years. He speaks about past case studies, cold cases, and some of the big headliners that roam Nebraska. One of the biggest unsolved murder mysteries in Nebraska is from Omaha 7 years ago. An all-American father and husband was gunned down outside his home on a summer day in broad daylight, yet the evidence never matched up to find the shooter. I hear Cece's breath catch as she inhales sharply. Her hand covers her mouth and her eyes are glued to the speaker on stage. "You okay?" I lean in and ask curiously, oblivious as to why she has this kind of reaction. She immediately drops her hand and nods her head. "Yeah, fine. I think I heard about this one before." "Yeah, it was pretty big news in Nebraska for a long time. My dad worked night and day on that case." She turns and faces me, and her expression is unreadable. "Really?" She swallows. "Yeah, almost killed him to write that final report." "What was that?" she quickly asks. "That the cops were calling it a cold case? No suspects, no witnesses, little to no evidence." "Are you all right? You look flushed." Yeah, just tired. Would it be okay to leave early?" I lean in happily and answer. "I was ready to leave 55 minutes ago." She lets out a small laugh. "It's only been an hour." I smile back. "Exactly." I grab her hand and lead her out the back without disturbing anyone. What I want and what I should do are two different things, because right now I want to take her to my house and fuck her 6 ways to Sunday. But what I should do is drop her off at her car and kiss her goodnight. My cock agrees with the first. "Thank you," she begins as we sit in the car outside of the restaurant where her car is parked. I can tell that she's still upset about something as she fiddles with her fingers in her lap. She nervously continues, "I appreciate you letting me tag along for the presentation." I lean over and grab her face, tilting her chin up so she'll finally look at me. I close the gap between us and kiss her softly on the lips. I feel her body relax against mine as I wrap my arm around her waist. I so badly want to roam my fingers across her skin and through her hair, but I don't. I can tell her mood has changed since we left, and the last thing I want to do is push her. "You didn't tag along," I say as I lean my forehead against hers. I move my head back so I can look directly in her eyes. "And it was my pleasure, Cece." I sit back in my seat and let myself out of the car. I close my eyes briefly as I fight with myself before opening her door. I want to slam her body against mine and beg her to stay the night with me. But something in me stops the words from coming out. I grab her hand and escort her out, shutting the door behind her. She leans against the car in a way that tells me she's battling with it as well. I stand, so she's in between my legs, and wrap both arms around her waist. I pull her in closer, so our lips are just barely touching. Her body is still but relaxed as she places her hands on each of my arms. Do you work out, like 24/7? Isn't this, like, abnormally muscly? Her light tone shows me that she's back to herself, and I laugh at her sudden change of topic. Muscly? Yeah, I've never seen a guy with arms like this. I shake my head as I try to hold in the laugh that's threatening to escape. I fear for your lack of ex-boyfriends. Not only did they serve you ramen noodles and cheap wine, they didn't even bother to work out for their girl. Her head falls back as she laughs wholeheartedly. I'd do anything to bottle up that laugh. It drives me fucking crazy. You sure are a cocky son of a bitch. What if I like puny guys who make ramen noodles and poor guys that can only afford cheap wine? See? You aren't my type at all, she muses. I press my body into hers to show her how wrong she is. My cock is firm against her, and I know she feels it. I dip my head into the nape of her neck and kiss lightly all the way up to her ear. You lie, I whisper. You haven't stopped eye-fucking me since the day you met me. Every time I'm near you, your body is begging for my attention. Say it, I demand. She whimpers against me, not saying or denying it. I know she's holding it in. She wants to let go. I just have to convince her it's okay to give in to what she wants. I said say it, Cece. My mouth wraps around the lobe of her ear and she moans against me. Her body becomes limp under my lips, and it's just a matter of seconds before she comes undone. I slowly kiss up her jaw as I tilt her head back. She arches her body for me, giving away how badly she wants it, how badly she's willing to take whatever I have to offer. I want to hear you scream my name, Cece. I want your sexy little legs wrapped around me so tight that you'll have no choice but to let go as I press hard into you. Her body is trembling against me with each word I whisper, and I know it's not because of the chilly weather. Her body craves the exact thing mine does. Bentley, she finally whimpers. God, yes. I pull on her arms and yank her body into mine. Yes, what, sweetheart? I'm going to need you to say it, I command. She flutters her eyes back open and stares intently into mine as she says, Yes, I want you.
Chapter 10. Cecilia. I ignore every alarm going off in my head as Bentley speeds to his place. He had me dripping wet against his car. I can't even imagine what he's going to be doing once we're behind closed doors. I struggle to fight with my head and my heart. Part angel and part devil are screaming at me, and all I can think of is how good it feels to have Bentley's mouth and body on me and how much I want more. I hardly pay attention to where we're going, and soon realize Bentley is parking in his garage. He quickly gets out and opens my door, grabbing my hand eagerly and pulling me out. He barely yanks the key out of the lock before slamming me into the wall, pressing us firmly against it. I hope you aren't disappointed if we skip the tour. I feel him grin as his lips run up and down my neck. I shiver under his touch, and then respond with a mumbled moan. He shimmies my jacket off and aggressively grabs around my thighs, wrapping them around his waist and holding us up against the wall. He presses hard into me as our mouths attack each other, roaming hands and tongues begging for control. I can feel how hard and thick he is under his pants. It ignites an electric charge within me, making me realize what I'm about to do. Meeting Bentley has awakened something inside me. Rather, it is Bentley who is the reason I need this. My body feels as if it's on fire as I crave every part of him. I want him inside me, teasing and torturing me. I want his mouth on my skin, kissing every bruised and broken memory. I want him more than I ever thought I needed someone. Bentley, I breathe out. I want you, I confess. So fucking bad.
Do you have any idea what you just said? What you just told me?
He growls as he presses his hard-on deeper against me. Well, I hope it translated to that I want you to fuck me. Now. He pushes us off the wall and starts walking us down a hallway. His lips never leave my body, moving from my ear, neck, and mouth. He's devouring me.
I hope you don't have a close attachment to these panties.
He lays me on top of his bed. Before I can slide them off, he rips my panties in two. My legs are lying loosely off the bed, and his body is in between them, kissing up one leg. No, they were from an ex-boyfriend anyway. I lie humorously, but he doesn't laugh. Bentley's head jerks up, and his body is suddenly pressed on top of mine.
Are you trying to piss me off? Because if that's the kind of guy you like, you just say the word, sweetheart. I can do this sweet, or I can do this rough. Say the word.
He threatens. We need to work on your sense of humor.
I don't ever want to hear about another guy fucking you, understand? As far as I'm concerned, there was never another guy before me. I'll make sure to erase any memory of them. That I promise you.
If he only knew, that isn't going to be much of an issue. But I can't let him know I've only had sex with 2 guys before him. They weren't well experienced or memorable. So, as far as I'm concerned, Bentley's the only one that matters anyway. I reach for his shirt and begin unbuttoning it, no longer wanting to have this conversation, or talk at all, for that matter. My body is burning with anticipation, and I'm done waiting. I take in his tattoos that appear perfect on his skin. They are amazingly detailed, inked into his raw flesh. He firmly grabs my wrist, taking me by surprise as he jerks my body up to level our faces. His eyes are dark, and his voice is deep as he says,
"Do we have an understanding, Cece?"
There's no humor in his tone, and I know he's dead serious. Yes, I understand.
Good girl.
He kneels between my legs and continues.
Now lay back, put your arms above your head, and spread your legs. I want to see all of you.
I nervously do as he says. I've never been told what to do before, but I'm positive I like it. In fact, I love it. The way his mouth demands me intensifies the fire within me even more. His hands are loosely roaming up my thighs as they make their way under my dress, pulling it up with his hands. His head dips down to my stomach, feathering kisses against my heated skin. I'm dying with anticipation as his tongue teases and tortures me. I'm desperate to put my hands through his messy locks, but I know he'll stop if I do. And that's the last fucking thing I want him to do.
You taste more incredible than I imagined.
He moans as his mouth lifts up briefly to push my dress all the way off my body. You've been imagining, have you? My voice is laced with amusement, hoping he'll play along. I need to get my confidence back, but his lips on my naked flesh are making that pretty damn hard.
You have no idea,
he growls.
My cock's been hard for weeks.
I giggle at the image. Perhaps you need to see a doctor. He aggressively yanks my bra down and pulls my nipple into his mouth. All humor gone. My body arches to greet his mouth. His free hand begins rubbing my clit as his tongue sucks my breast hard. The double sensation is overwhelming, and I can no longer control my breathing or the excessive moans releasing from my throat.
You keep moaning like that, and I'm going to come a lot sooner than I want, sweetheart.
Then stop torturing me already. He plunges 2 fingers deep inside me. My body convulses on impact as he drives further inside me. I let out a puff of air as I try to even my breathing. He's relentless in pleasure torturing my clit and nipple at the same time. I'm not used to the invasive pleasure, my body unfamiliar with the contact. I'm trying to hold in the screams that desperately need to come out. Release, he demands. I want to hear you and feel you at the same time. His voice is seductive as he mouths my other breast and works it in the same fashion as the first, aggressive and eager. My body unhinges, arching more and shaking harder. His fingers work inside me harder as I peak into an intense orgasm. My hands flock to his head, pulling and squeezing his locks. Oh my, I breathe out. God! My body lays flat on the bed again as he pulls his fingers out and releases my breast. He's hovering directly on top of me, and I can feel his heavy breathing on my face. Hesitantly, I open my eyes and look up at him. His face is intense, and I know he's feeling the same thing I am. Passion and lust. Slowly, he brings his mouth down on mine and genuinely kisses me. It's slow and controlled, as if he's asking permission, easing me into what's about to occur. His hand cups my cheek, his thumb rubbing softly against my skin. It's a sweet and caring gesture. My eyes snap open as I see the power he's taking over me. He knows I want it. I know he wants it. This isn't supposed to turn into something more than that. I push hard against his chest and force him on his back. I straddle his waist and grab his wrists in my hands. I don't want you to make love to me, Bentley. I can see the conflicted expression in his face. I want you to take me as I am. Fuck me, but don't make love to me, I warn. I release the grip on his wrists, and his hands immediately grab my hips. He forces my hips to grind against his cock that's rock hard against his pants. If you keep talking like that, I'm not going to make it that far. I smirk. Then, take off your fucking pants. I roll off his body and watch as he stands up next to the bed. I lay back casually on the bed as he removes the rest of his clothing. My eyes wander up and down his chiseled chest, admiring his tattoos and muscles again. His arms are definitely built, but the pictures don't do his body justice. His tattoos are the first thing I notice, along with the V that goes from his hips down to his legs. He's fucking breathtaking, and I'm completely mesmerized by him. You're staring. You have a lot to stare at. He looks down at his fully erected cock with a smug grin. Then by all means, stare away. Did they even have to Photoshop your pictures in the magazines? I mean, seriously. He lets out a light laugh as he shakes his head as if he's embarrassed. You're a grade A detective, aren't you? I shrug unapologetically. It's not the first time I've been told that. And it wasn't. I was always good at finding out the information I needed, and I was hoping that snooping around latent enterprises wouldn't be any different. Is that right? He asks as he begins crawling on the bed and right over to my body. I lean back as his body presses into me. I can feel his hard cock pressed against my thigh and then up against my pelvis, begging for entrance. I panic as I soon realize he's not wearing a condom. You should know I'm not on birth control, I blurt out, and my eyes immediately shut tight with embarrassment. I can't even believe I just said that. His head falls loosely on my chest in surrender. Seriously? Sorry, I say softly. This is so embarrassing. He brings his head up and smirks at me. He lays a playful kiss on my lips. So you're saying all this time you've been using condoms without any other protection? If I were a 21-year-old college girl, hell yeah, I'd be on birth control. But I wasn't. I had just turned 18, and there was no way I was going to have that conversation with my mother. I had planned on going to the clinic to get on the pill before I left for college. Yeah, my mom... Oh, shit. Fuck me. My mom, I continue as I try to think of something to save my slip-up, never allowed it while I was on her insurance, but I just got my own, actually, so it was on my to-do list. He looks at me as if I have a third eye. And now you think I'm crazy. He laughs. No, not at all. I was just thinking I better start buying condoms in bulk. He flashes one of his infamous smug grins. You are overly confident, and you are overly cocky. Sounds like we're a match made in heaven, he jibes. I begin laughing, but am soon gasping as he drives inside me suddenly, with no fucking warning. Bentley pushes through my tight walls. Inch by inch, his thickness breaks through, and suddenly my body relaxes, giving in to exactly what I want. Shit, he growls. My back arches to push him further inside me, but he pulls back out and drives back in again. Fuck, Cece, you're so tight. I want to fuck you so bad, you have no idea. I think I can feel how bad, I pant out. My arms wrap around his neck pleadingly, not wanting him to stop. That's a problem, Cece. I need to get a condom on. I watch as he walks to his dresser and quickly grabs one from the drawer. He smoothly rolls it on. I enjoy the view again as I take in his rock-hard body and messy golden locks. He looks like more of a rocker than a CEO's son, and I think that's what I like best about him. He's not what you'd think he'd be. He's better. He strides over to the bed and clasps my hands, pulling me close so we're chest to chest. He looks into my eyes, and I swallow as I take in his intense stare. Cece, he says slowly, I want to be able to feel you, all of you. One of his hands slides down and grips my waist. I want to be able to fuck you anytime, anywhere, and I want to be able to feel you throbbing directly against me. I nod in understanding, and he grips me a little tighter. I feel his hot breath vibrate against my flushed skin. I can hardly concentrate on my own breathing as I take in every soft gasp that escapes him. He brings his face to mine and gently kisses the corners of my mouth. It's sweet and soft, and soon I'm lost in his touch again. It doesn't last long. He whips my body around so I'm facing away from him. Bend over and spread your legs, he growls in my ear. I do as he says, clenching my hands to the mattress. He grasps my hips as he plunges back inside me. I gasp at the contact, clenching the sheets in my fists. It takes a moment for my body to stretch open for him as he fills me again, inch by inch. Once he's fully inside, he controls the rhythm, rocking my hips against him harder and harder. I moan and whimper as he goes from fast to slow and slow to fast. He's filling me completely, stretching my walls with every demanding thrust. Yes, Cece, he moans as he's close to his release. I can feel it because he tenses up as he controls the movements. I open my legs wider to give him better access. It feels so damn good. I'd do anything for him not to stop. The rhythm, the pace, the way his head slams against my G-spot has me going over the edge. Oh, my God. Oh, God, yes, I moan over and over. Just like that. Yes. I clench my eyes tighter as I feel my climax approaching. He slams into me harder as he feels my body react. He leans over me, wrapping an arm around my stomach. His other hand goes to my clit as he begins rubbing relentlessly with each thrust. I want to hear you scream my name, Cece, he demands. I can't focus on much as his body is pressed against mine and his fingers are working my clit. He shifts in deeper, taking me over the edge for several seconds. Oh, God, Bentley, yes! I pant and moan at the same time. He doesn't slow down. He continues harder as another one builds up inside me. Fuck, Bentley. Oh, God. I can barely make a coherent thought, nevertheless a coherent sentence. That's my girl, he whispers in my ear as he waits for my breathing to calm down. He backs off me and pulls out without his own release. He twirls me back around to face him and slowly drops me on the bed. He bends to his knees and spreads my legs. He brings his mouth in between my legs, licking and sucking up my juices. His tongue plunges hard inside of me, hitting my sensitive spot. I can hardly take it as I've barely come down from the first two. I grab fistfuls of his hair to stop him, but it only makes him work harder. He grabs both my wrists and pins them to the mattress, all while his tongue continues its tortuous play. Bentley, stop, I beg. I can't take it. He shakes his head, and I know I'm fighting a losing battle. Oh, God. Oh, Bentley. Yes. Oh, my God. I scream with no embarrassment or shyness. He licks and sucks up my climax once again. My body is shaking from the hardest orgasm I've ever had. My name sounds good on your lips, he muses as he finally rises and towers over me. I swallow as I even my breathing. That was intense. He grins as he grabs both of my legs and places them on his shoulder. Don't surrender on me now, Cece. You had no idea what you were getting yourself into. He winks as he positions himself over me with both of my feet in the air. I chuckle as he plunges back inside me. I used to be in gymnastics, Mr. Layton. There isn't a position I haven't done. His eyes widen. I promise I won't break. It's all the permission he needs to hear. He rapidly speeds up the pace as he bends my body in half, taking everything I'm willing to give. We moan and pant together, barely able to contain the inaudible sounds that are forced out. He thrusts hard inside me until he finally releases. Oh, God, Cece. Fucking amazing. He holds us in place for several seconds until he's released every last drop. He slowly puts my legs down on each side of him. He leans over and captures my mouth, kissing me into an oblivious bliss. Better than I ever fucking imagined, he says into my neck as he lays soft kisses. So much fucking better. Chapter 11. Cecilia. Memories. I could still smell the popcorn when I woke up in the middle of the night. Friday was always family movie night, and Nathan, Casey, and I had all shared a bag. We snuggled on mounds of pillows and blankets on the floor as our parents snuggled up on the couch, watching some Disney animation movie. The three of us fell asleep on the floor, and I vaguely remembered Dad carrying me back into my bed. He kissed my forehead and covered me up. Good night, Princess. The sound of yelling woke me up hours later. It was still dark out, and my eyes were blurry, but I rubbed them open as I got out of my bed. I crept to my door and slowly opened it. The hall light was off, but I could see the kitchen light on in the distance. I tiptoed as quietly as I could down the hall and peeked around to the kitchen where my parents were arguing. "God damn it!" my mother cursed. Her hands were flailing at my dad as she continued. "How could you spend all that money? How could you when we have a family to support?" She scowled. He hushed her and went to reach for her, but she pushed back. "Claire, please. I'll take care of this, I promise." I could hear her crying through her hands that were covering her face. I was tempted to walk to her and hug her. I wanted to comfort her and ask her what was wrong, but I could tell it was something that my dad had done. "How, Brock? How the hell do you plan to pay back $75,000? We don't have that kind of money." He fell to his knees in front of her and wrapped his arms around her waist. I could see she was trying to fight him off, but after a few seconds she gave up. "I'll ask for an extension. It'll be fine," he promised. "Ramiro will get me some extra time." My mom's hands finally released her face. Her eyes were red and blotchy. I knew it was something really awful if my mom was crying like that. "We'll have to sell the house," she deadpanned. "There's no other way we'll come up with that money." "No, we can take out a second mortgage or something, Claire. We can't sell our house." "And how are we going to pay on that steep of a mortgage, Brock? With one income and 3 kids?" Her face was stern, and I knew that look meant serious trouble. "You gambled our life savings away." "I'll get back in the business. I'll get more money." He stood up and promised her. He cupped her cheek and kissed it softly. "I'll do anything." I wake up rattled, draped in Bentley's arms. My mind quickly analyzes the dream I just had. Ramiro. A name I don't remember ever hearing, but it gives me something I didn't have before. I look over to Bentley. He's breathing quietly next to me as we both lay naked in his bed. He looks relaxed as he sleeps, not a worry wrinkle in sight. I carefully wedge out of his grip. I grab one of the loose sheets that had landed on the floor and wrap myself in it. This was my chance to snoop around for anything I could use. If his dad worked on my dad's case, it's likely that the information is somewhere. I walk to the door and slowly open it. I quickly look behind my shoulder to double-check he hasn't woken up. I creep down the hallway to look for his office. I find a linen closet and bathroom before I spot the door that opens to a desk and filing cabinets lining the walls. I close the door behind me and sit at his desk behind the computer. I move the mouse and his home screen pops up. I have no idea where to look or how I'm going to get in, but I have to try. I browse his files and one pops out at me. Dad's cases. I double-click and a password code box pops up. Shit. Password. I try Leighton. Denied. Bentley. Denied. Too easy. I tap my fingers restlessly as I try to think of possible passwords. This is Bentley's personal home computer, so I imagine it's something closely related to him, something he's passionate about. I can tell from the pictures and articles I found on him online that he was very passionate about one thing, the one thing he's unable to do anymore. Modeling. I try again. Denied. Shit. I'm running out of time. I shuffle through the papers on top of his desk for any kind of clue. Nothing. I open up the first drawer and spot a bunch of magazines. Men's Fitness. I move them around and look underneath for anything, and then as my fingers brush against the glossy pages, it hits me. I grab the magazines and flip through them. Men's Fitness is a fashion and health magazine. Models. Bentley used to model for a variety of magazines and photographers, but he was only represented through one agency, the most popular agency in the U.S., Elite Storm. With nothing to lose, I try one more time. ELITESTORM. Access granted. I squeal quietly to myself as I gather myself back together and begin searching. Docs, files, and scanned images pop up in the folder. There are hundreds of them. They are all organized from month and year. I look for the month and year of my dad's death. My heart is racing as I spot it, finally. I double-click and browse through the names on the folders. Anderson, Easton, Huntz, Rodriguez, West. I double-click the last one, and up pops all of my dad's information on his case. I'm so stunned. My fingers are shaking as I move the mouse around. The folder marked Police Files is the first one I click on. The police report basically says what I already know from the newspapers and from the little of what my mother told me. Drive-by shooter. No helpful witnesses. Found 6 bullets. I try to think of how many times my dad was shot and how many shots I remember hearing. He was hit twice, which means 4 were missed. 1 grazed my shoulder, but I was nowhere near my father, which means the shooter barely slowed down as he drove past our house and shot out his window. He didn't slow down, as I originally thought. He could have cared less that there were 3 kids outside and in the way of his target. It makes sense as to why my sister only partially saw the license plate and how the neighbors hadn't seen anything. Drive-by. No stopping to make sure they even hit their target. I exit out and click on the witnesses folder. I know they spoke to my mother a few days after I was home from the hospital. She was a sobbing mess, but tried to keep it together for our sake. A friend of my mom was over when the detective came over to ask her questions. She took us out of the room, so I didn't hear anything my mother told me, but this report outlined the conversation. She confessed that my dad was in debt to another man, but she claimed not to know who. My father had gotten into some financial issues and was working on repaying him. She said it was months ago, and the report said police weren't sure if they were linked or not to the shooting. Another part of the report said the bullets were analyzed by technicians and were being put through the database for any matches to another crime. I know from my previous research that this was to cross-analyze to other shootings, but the results weren't posted in the report. I click out of the folder to search through the evidence folder when I hear footsteps in the hallway. I quickly click out of everything and hold in my breath, but my heart speeds up as I start plodding my way out of this. Without making the chair squeak, I quietly push backward and dip down underneath the desk. I squeeze under the desk and pull the chair in as much as possible. He can't know I'm in here.
Bentley. I wake up with the taste of her still in my mouth. The way her body tastes drives me insane. Everything about her makes me want more. The firmness of her breasts, the taste of her arousal on my lips, the way her body tightens around me has me desperately craving more of her. I'm thirsty as hell and decide I need to get up and grab something to drink. I roll over to kiss Cece, but feel the cold bed under my hand instead. Her side is empty, and I start panicking that she's left. My memory starts flashing back to the night's events. My heart beats faster as I think about Cece and her body pressed up against mine. Her stunning face, mouth, and legs. She's fucking gorgeous. The way she gave in to me, screamed for me, and released with me starts getting my cock hard again. If this is what being with Cece is going to be like, I'm going to have a permanent boner. I find my briefs on the floor and put them on before going out the door. I stumble to the kitchen and grab a bottle of water. I chug the entire thing before throwing it out and start walking back down the hallway. I expect to see the bathroom light on, but it isn't. I drove her here, so she couldn't have possibly left. Unless she snuck out purposely. The thought makes my blood boil, leaving me like a one-night stand when I have clearly made her mine. My hands turn to fists as I walk down the hall to look for her. I open the bathroom door, but it's empty. "Cece," I call. No response. I continue walking down to my office. The door is closed, but I step in anyway. The room is still and silent as I expect it to be, but I call for her again anyway. "Cece, you here?" Nothing. Fucking A. Rage builds inside me as I imagine the worst. She fucking bailed. I start storming out of my office when something on the floor catches my eye. Part of my white sheet. It's peeking underneath my desk. I look up at my office chair and see it's not pulled in all the way. She's hiding.
This book is over, but the story continues. Keep listening after the credits to hear the beginning of The Intern Volume 2, Book 2 in the Intern series, free. This has been an Audible Studios production of The Intern Volume 1, written by Brooke Cumberland, performed by Maxine Mitchell and Joe Arden. Executive producer, Susie Bright. Producer, Mike Charzik. Copyright 2014 by Brooke Cumberland. Production copyright 2014 by Audible Inc. Audible Studios is a division of Audible Inc. And now, a free preview of The Intern Volume 2, Book 2 in the Intern series.
I was born into a driven household. Failure was never an option. I was taught to work hard for what I needed and work harder for what I wanted. And what I wanted was hiding under my desk as if I were some predator. I hadn't known until now that she was what I wanted. Craved. I stop moving as my eyes roam the floor and spot the white sheet crinkled against the carpet. Is she hiding from me? Or is she hiding from being caught? "Cece," I growl. No answer. I know girls respond to sex differently. Some make it an emotional experience, while others are all about the physical. Cece's a mixture of both. The worst combination. After no response or movement, I decide to walk out as if I didn't know she was sitting under there. I walk to the other end of the hallway to where my sitting room is. I walk to the bar and grab a glass. I try to think how I want to handle this, but only rage consumes me. My mind is filling with questions, and until I know the answers to them, my body isn't going to settle down. I hear the creak of my office door opening, and slow, faint steps against the carpet in the hallway. I hear another door open, and I know she's only walked far enough to reach the bathroom. So this is how she wants to play it. I pour a finger of vodka and suck it down before I slam the glass down against the bar. She's going to know I was looking for her. She can't deny that she didn't hear me. I checked the goddamn bathroom, for Christ's sake. I pour more vodka, and another, and soon I know I need to stop or I'll be passing out before I even get to confront her. I stumble my way down the hall and see the bathroom light is off. She must have wandered back into my bed. I slowly walk in and see she's curled up back on her side as if she'd never even left. I huff at myself, almost laughing at the stupidity of it all. Perhaps she was just emotional and needed a moment. But why do that in my office? Fear, doubt, and rage continue to churn inside of me as I think about Cece being a traitor, or worse, an outside job. My mind is thinking of worst-case scenarios, and quickly, I convince myself she's working for someone else to get inside information. I couldn't let her make a fool out of me, or Leighton Enterprises. Not again. It wouldn't be the first time a girl used me for inside information. The thought brings me back to 2 years ago, when she almost destroyed me. Leighton Enterprises holds exclusive and confidential information that other reporters wouldn't think twice about stealing. I walk to her side of the bed and tower over her. I watch her sleep, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. She looks like she is asleep, but it's hard to know for sure. Her eyes jolt open and her body jumps from the sight of me. I look down on her, wondering who the girl I just fucked really is. "What are you doing?" she asks hurriedly, grabbing the sheet for comfort. I look at her through glazed eyes, and I can see the fear on her face. What's she thinking right now? What is it she's really after? "Get up," I demand. The room is pitch black, but the outside streetlights are beaming through the windows. I can see her hesitation and fear immediately, but I'm only a shadow to her. "What?" she croaks out. I lean over the bed and hover over her body. "You heard me. Get up." She looks at me as if I've betrayed her, or as if I've done something to invade her privacy. She sits up, taking the white sheet with her and covering up her chest. I laugh to myself. I had my tongue all over that chest. What exactly is she hiding? I grab her forcefully by the upper arms and pull her body up to mine. She looks me in the eyes, and I can see she's trying not to show the timid girl she really is. She's putting on a show. "Drop the sheet," I order, keeping my eyes locked with hers. Her eyes stay locked on mine as if she dares me to order her again. "I'm not going to ask again, Cece." She releases her clenched fist that's holding the sheet in place. I watch as it drops to a pool at her feet. The light behind me shines through just over her body, giving me a perfect view of her silky, soft skin. "Now what?" she challenges. "On your knees," I snap, "hands behind your back." Her breath hitches at first, but she willingly obliges. She slowly looks up at me through her dark lashes as she waits for my next command. "Open your mouth." I pull my briefs down and stroke my already hard cock. I groan as I take it in my hand and plunge it into her mouth. She willingly accepts my full length, not giving up until the tip has reached the back of her throat. "Oh, fuck," I moan as soon as her lips wrap around me. She licks the length from the base all the way to the tip before taking me completely. "Jesus, Cece," I growl. She moves her head up and down my length several times without stopping. She's a fucking pro. I dig my hands into her hair, guiding her slowly just where I want her. I hear her throaty moans. It's enough to get me pissed off that she's enjoying this. She's not acting intimidated or fearful. She begins to speed up the pace, and soon my entire body tenses as it waits for its release. "Stop." I grab her hair and pull her head back. She continues anyway, licking and sucking where she can. "I said stop," I order firmly. So good," she purrs, obviously not listening to my demands. I pull her hair tighter, but it does nothing to stop her. "You like it when I'm rough, don't you, Cece? Is this the kinky shit you're into?" I nearly yell as my body betrays me and it fully releases into her mouth. She accepts it willingly, sucking me harder as it makes its way down her throat. I'm beyond pissed. 1, she didn't fucking listen to me. 2, I didn't want to come in her pretty little mouth. And now, 3, she thinks she holds all control over me when her lips are wrapped aggressively around me. "Do you have a hearing problem?" Her face tilts up to look at me as she licks her lips clean. "No." My blood is boiling at the way she's challenging me, pushing me to my end. "Then you have a listening problem?" "We're not in the office, Mr. Layton. I don't have to listen to you," she counters. "If I hadn't already filled that goddamn smart mouth of yours, you'd what?" She glares at me. "Why are you acting like a controlling asshole?" "Controlling asshole?" I muse, laughing. "Seems to me you like it, don't you, Cece? I see the way your nipples perk up. I feel your hot breath all around me. You're aroused. And even more, you're aroused that this arouses you." "So what if it does?" she challenges. I grab her and force her up so we're eye level. "What else do you like?" I whisper. "What else are you willing to give me?" "Anything you want, Bentley. I'm yours." My mouth instantly crushes to hers. My hands aggressively cup her face. Her arms wrap around my body, her nails clawing at my skin as her hands make their way down to my ass. "You are the most intriguing and confusing person I've ever met." I breathe out as I continue to hold her. "Likewise, Mr. Layton. You want to tell me who you really are, Cece? I know you're hiding something from me." I growl deeply, letting her know how serious I am. "I'm exactly who I told you I was. I have nothing to hide," she answers confidently. Too confidently. I quickly grab on her ass and hoist her up against me. Her legs wrap around my waist and her arms lock around my neck in a death grip. "How far are you willing to go to prove that?" I whisper in her hair. I nip the skin just below her ear, showing her how deadly serious I am. "I already told you, Bentley. I won't break." The way her voice lingers sends a chill down my body. She's not kidding. She's willing to do anything I ask. The way her body melts to mine as if she's daring me to do with it as I please, which instantly grabs my cock's attention. I'm filled with a mixture of rage and passion, and all I want to do is fuck her senseless until she tells me the truth. Our naked bodies are molded together, and I know I have the upper hand here. Yet it feels like she's controlling everything when it comes to my emotions. Fuck. Emotions? This was exactly why I didn't allow myself to get too close. Like last time. Emotions, and then attachments. But now it's me fighting those feelings off. However, I'm not sure I can. I kiss her once more, nipping at her lips with an uncontrollable desire. I can feel her body heating against mine. She wants it as badly as I do. "Bend over the bed," I say, breaking the kiss. I drop my arms and allow her feet to land on the floor. "Keep your hands planted on the sheets." She spins around and willingly bends her body over the bed with both hands above her head. I lean over her and squeeze her breasts in my hands. My cock springs torturously against her ass, signaling her to spread her legs farther. She releases a moan, parting her legs for me. "Let's play a game," I whisper. Her body writhes underneath me, yet she doesn't say no. I release one of her breasts and roam my free hand down her flat stomach to her clit. I rub aggressively, not slowing down as she starts screaming and moaning. Her hands are still above her head, but I can feel her struggling to keep them there. "Bentley," she finally says, "please. Oh, my God." I feel her struggling against me. Her body convulses as I bring her to orgasm. I rub her nipple hard in between my thumb and forefinger as I work her clit in the same rhythm. My cock is still pressing hard against her ass, trapping her against the bed so she can't move. Her hands are balled into fists as she struggles to control her breathing. "Oh, God, I can't take it. Bentley, please." She continues begging, and it's the sweetest fucking sound. "Stop. It's too intense." As the alcohol surges through my blood, the more daring I become. "Sweetheart, we're playing a game here," I remind her, my voice laced with amusement. "Tell me a secret." I don't have any secrets, Bentley," she forces out. "Ah, yes. Oh, God." Her body is shaking against me, and I know she's close. "Tell me, Cece," I demand in her ear. "I'm going to torture every part of your body until you tell me the truth." "Tell you what?" she pleads. "Tell me who you really are." I growl, pissed off that I even have to say it again. "I swear, I'm telling the truth," she insists. "Ah, oh, God, yes." I feel her releasing around my fingers, but before she does, I remove them and kneel down in between her legs. I force them apart, and like a hungry animal, my mouth is on her pussy, licking up her juices as she releases around my tongue. I keep working her. I don't let her come down. She's pleading for it, yet she's begging for me to stop. I run my hands up her legs and spread them as far apart as possible. I catch her with one hand as she loses her balance. unable to keep up with the pleasure-torture my tongue is giving her.
Bentley, I swear, my name is Cece. Everything I told you is true.
She forces out right before I force 2 fingers inside her. My tongue and fingers work her into another frenzy, her body ready to collapse around me. I stand back up and slap her ass before leaning back over her. Why don't I believe you? Her breathing is rapid, her body pulsating up and down as I allow her body to rest.
Why do you doubt me? I've been nothing but honest with you, Bentley. Why are you—
Why am I what, Cece? Why don't you tell me what you were doing in my office? I glide my tongue up her spine as my hands slide up her arms. Her breathing hitches and her body stills. Yes, I saw you. I answer her silent thoughts. So you can either tell me the truth, or I will fuck you until you do. Either way, it's a win-win for me. I grin selfishly. I know what I'm doing. Yet I can't stop. Rage and passion fuel my actions as I continue thinking about her betrayal. She doesn't answer me, and it's all the confirmation I need to know that I'm right. All right, have it your way, I warn. I slide my hands back down her arms as I stand back up behind her. My hands grip her hips before I take her from behind. Her body dips to the bed in a perfect 45-degree angle. I can see all of her this way. She's fucking beautiful the way she's laid out for me. I thrust inside. Her body jolts with my entrance. Her pussy opens up willingly around my length as I tease her clit with one hand. My other hand squeezes her hip to keep the pace. Oh, fuck, Cece. The feeling of her bare body against me is almost too much for me to handle. She's so damn tight. I know I'm not going to last long if I don't concentrate on the task at hand. Her body jerks forward as I stroke deeper. Her moans and screams get louder as my hips rock against her. You ready to tell me now, Cece? Who are you working for?
Shit,
she curses in a half moan.
You, Bentley. I work for you.
Another lie. I free my hand from her clit and start rubbing her ass. I lick my finger before putting the tip of it inside her. She immediately tenses, jerking away from me. How about now? You ready to tell me now? I threaten, forcing my finger deeper inside her ass. I can tell she's not experienced there from the way her body rejects me. It only makes me want her more, my finger and cock grinding deeper inside her. I told you, I'll torture every part of you until you tell me the truth, I threaten.
Oh, my God,
she breathes out.
I am, she forces out. Bentley, holy shit.
I can feel she's ready to give in and answer me, but instead she presses her ass harder against me.
Yes, God, more,
she pleads. This is fucking turning her on. I soon realize I'm not wearing a condom. Again. Fuck. If she keeps moaning like that, I'm going to come before I'm ready. She grinds her body against me and begins circling her ass against my finger that's half a finger deep inside her. She's not intimidated. I haven't crossed any lines. She's fucking enjoying this torturous act. Suddenly, I'm pissed that my plan isn't working and aggressively pull out of her.
Ah!
She moans at the sudden exit. I flip her over and lean over her body. What were you doing in my office? My tone is deep and serious. I lock my eyes with her so she can see just how serious I am.
I was checking my school email, she explains. I panicked when I heard you. I thought you'd be mad that I was on it without asking.
Oh, this girl is good. I smirk at her as I tower over her body, her hands trapped by mine on either side of her. Checking your email? I repeat doubtfully. Why would you hide for checking your email? She shrugs lightly, her eyes maintaining eye contact with me.
I wasn't sure how you felt about people touching your stuff.
It's a simple response.
almost too simple. But as the alcohol wears off and my mind releases the rage, my heart actually wants to believe her. Why are you letting me treat you this way, Cece? Don't girls want to be loved, cherished, and all that girly shit? I told you. I'm not like other girls. The tone in her voice is seductive, challenging almost. I grab her legs and wrap them around my waist. I lift her off the bed and slam us both against the wall behind me. Is that so? I growl against her ear. She nods as she clenches tightly onto me. Good, because what I want to do to you requires a lot of trust, something I've never asked of another girl. Think I can get that from you, Cece? Her head falls back as I take her raw flesh in my mouth. I suck her neck hard, showing her just how much she's mine. Yes, she finally breathes out. I'm yours. Those are the sexiest words I've ever heard. I move my mouth to her lips and kiss her softly. I want to trust you, Cece. For the first time in my life, I feel vulnerable around someone else. Feeding the rage and passion wasn't too much for her. Rather, she gave into it. She liked it. She willingly gave me just what I needed. You can. I promise.
Chapter 2. Cecilia. The sight of Bentley's body towering over me sent me in panic mode. I was pretending to sleep, hoping he'd crawl in next to me and we'd spoon until he fell back asleep. What I hadn't counted on was Bentley catching me or his games. I allow Bentley to use me until he's satisfied I'm telling him the truth. I keep eye contact and never flinch at his abusive tone. I let his aggressive hold take control as he controls my body. I'm convincing in my lies. I told you I was a master manipulator. It's not hard, considering every scenario he's thinking about is wrong. I don't work for anyone, and technically my name is Cece. Well, nickname. Too bad he never thought a high school student turned makeshift college student would be out to attain information for personal gain, because that would be a bitch to explain. Or deny. I laugh to myself at the irony. When it's said like that, it sounds ridiculous. What I'm doing is ridiculous. But I don't care. If I don't take the risk and at least try, I'll never know. I already live with regrets. I didn't want to live with the what-ifs. There's no denying that my body craves Bentley. I want everything he's giving me and more. I let him do everything to me because I want it. I love it. I don't want him to treat me like a little girl that can't handle it. I can. And I did. Bentley slams us into the wall, my bare back pressed against the cold drywall. It's chilling on my overheated skin, but much welcomed. It feels good. I want to, Cece. I want to trust you so fucking badly, he confesses. His forehead is pressed against mine, and I can feel his hot breath against my mouth. He's battling with himself. He's torn between letting me in and keeping me at a distance. I inhale the alcohol that he's exhaling, a strong vodka aroma. I thought I had smelled it on him earlier, but now I know for sure he was drinking. After my dad had died, my mom hid in her room a lot. Casey was left to cook and take care of me most of the time. She took advantage and watched mostly adult shows and movies on TV. I'd sit with her and ended up learning much more than I should have. By the time I was 17, I had lost my virginity. I was more curious than in love, but once I lost it, I didn't feel the need to protect it. It was the only time I ever felt anything besides anger and sadness. It was the only time I didn't think about my dad and how much I wished I had died right along with him that day. It was the only time I wasn't numb to the pain. When I was 17, I met Jason. He was a year ahead of me, but we hooked up my entire junior year. He was never more than that for me, a hookup. After a while, he wanted more. He wanted to start going on dates, holding hands, being a couple. I told him I couldn't, and that I wasn't wired that way. I hadn't felt that need to have that with him. I kept him at a distance, not wanting to let that part of my heart open for him. I didn't want to be in love. I never felt like I deserved it. How could I allow myself to love when I was still mourning my dad's death all these years later? I just knew I could never give him what he wanted. We stopped talking after he graduated, and my heart never skipped a beat in missing him. I always felt I was incapable of caring that much for someone, so much that I wanted to let them in. And this is how I knew Bentley was struggling with the same thing. Between letting me in, trusting me, and pushing me away. It was too late for the both of us. We were both way too far in, and now I had to cover my tracks before he found out the actual truth. You can trust me, Bentley, I say again, because it's true. Besides the lies I'm forced to hide, my feelings are real. I'm ready to give Bentley anything he wants to prove it. He presses his hips into me, binding us together. He grabs my ankles and forces them on top of his shoulders, so the only thing holding us against the wall is my ass and his hips. I'm literally folded in half between Bentley and the wall. He smirks as he sees how flawlessly I bend. I told you I was in gymnastics. He grins before saying, "At least I can believe that much." He thrusts inside me deeper. My head falls back against the wall as my body opens up willingly for him. He's completely hard and thick, stretching me out farther than I've ever been before. The tight sensation is intense. I can feel every thick inch of him. The way he grinds into me makes everything go away. I don't feel numb anymore. I don't think about the dangerous territory I've gotten myself into. It's just him and me. He moans and pants into my neck as he continues rocking into me. I feel his hot breath against my blistering skin. My head can't concentrate on anything but the deep pleasure he's giving me. The connection between us, and how good it feels to be with him. God, Cece, your body, I can't ever get enough. He breathes against my skin. I could never get enough of you. He bites the raw flesh of my earlobe, sending shivers down my body. He presses deeper inside me, his hands clenching my ankles to him. His mouth wanders up and down my neck, ear, and jaw. His tongue traces my jawline, igniting the raw but real feelings I have toward him. I wasn't even looking for someone when I padded into that boardroom. It was the farthest thing from my mind, but now that I'm here with him, I don't want to let go. I don't want to let go of this feeling. Alive, invincible, real. I couldn't tell him the truth now. It'd destroy him. Destroy us. Bentley, God, you're amazing, I confess, unable to keep the feelings from spilling out of me. So damn amazing. His head backs up and makes eye contact with me. He slows his torture-pleasing rhythm and looks deep into me. Through me. I hope you mean that, Cece. God, I really hope, because this isn't easy for me. It's been a long time since I've let someone in, and I want to let you in. I crave letting you in. He leans his forehead against mine. His breathing slows, matching our rhythm. I do, I whisper. A tinge of guilt leaves my throat. I hope he doesn't notice, but I can't help it. My heart and mind are in the middle of World War III, and there's nothing I can do about it because I already know my heart will win. I won't be able to say no to him, nor do I want to. But I can't lose focus on what I really want, what I'm really after. He releases my ankles, but they stay placed on his shoulders. His hands wrap my face, cupping my cheeks as he crushes our mouths together. I immediately submit to his lips and tongue, wanting everything he's willing to give me. He speeds back up, rocking his hips forcefully against mine. I take in his moans and panting in my mouth as I release my own. I can feel the sweat between us, the lust releasing out of our skin as he rides out my intense orgasm. Bentley, yes, I mumble against his lips. My head falls back on its own accord as his mouth drops to my neck. He licks a path from my collarbone to my ear as I scream out his name one more time until I come down. Sweetheart, as much as I want to fuck you hard against this wall and release everything I have in you, I'm not wearing a condom. I can hear the slight agony in his tone. He's disappointed, but knows it's the right thing to do.
We hope you enjoyed this free preview of The Intern Volume 2, Book 2 in the Intern series. To keep the story going, get the complete book today.
Audible hopes you have enjoyed this program.
I lock my eyes with her so she can see just how serious I am. I was checking my school email, she explains. I panicked when I heard you. I thought you'd be mad that I was on it without asking. Oh, this girl is good. I smirk at her as I tower over her body, her hands trapped by mine on either side of her. Checking your email? I repeat doubtfully. Why would you hide for checking your email? She shrugs lightly, her eyes maintaining eye contact with me. I wasn't sure how you felt about people touching your stuff. It's a simple response. Almost too simple. But as the alcohol wears off and my mind releases the rage, my heart actually wants to believe her. Why are you letting me treat you this way, Cece? Don't girls want to be loved, cherished, and all that girly shit? I told you. I'm not like other girls. The tone in her voice is seductive, challenging almost. I grab her legs and wrap them around my waist. I lift her off the bed and slam us both against the wall behind me. Is that so? I growl against her ear. She nods as she clenches tightly onto me. Good, because what I want to do to you requires a lot of trust, something I've never asked of another girl. Think I can get that from you, Cece? Her head falls back as I take her raw flesh in my mouth. I suck her neck hard, showing her just how much she's mine. Yes, she finally breathes out. I'm yours. Those are the sexiest words I've ever heard. I move my mouth to her lips and kiss her softly. I want to trust you, Cece. For the first time in my life, I feel vulnerable around someone else. Feeding the rage and passion wasn't too much for her. Rather, she gave into it. She liked it. She willingly gave me just what I needed. You can. I promise.
Chapter 2. Cecilia. The sight of Bentley's body towering over me sent me in panic mode. I was pretending to sleep, hoping he'd crawl in next to me and we'd spoon until he fell back asleep. What I hadn't counted on was Bentley catching me or his games. I allow Bentley to use me until he's satisfied I'm telling him the truth. I keep eye contact and never flinch at his abusive tone. I let his aggressive hold take control as he controls my body. I'm convincing in my lies. I told you I was a master manipulator. It's not hard, considering every scenario he's thinking about is wrong. I don't work for anyone, and technically my name is Cece. Well, nickname. Too bad he never thought a high school student turned makeshift college student would be out to attain information for personal gain, because that would be a bitch to explain. Or deny. I laughed to myself at the irony. When it's said like that, it sounds ridiculous. What I'm doing is ridiculous. But I don't care. If I don't take the risk and at least try, I'll never know. I already live with regrets. I didn't want to live with the what-ifs. There's no denying that my body craves Bentley. I want everything he's giving me and more. I let him do everything to me because I want it. I love it. I don't want him to treat me like a little girl that can't handle it. I can. And I did. Bentley slams us into the wall, my bare back pressed against the cold drywall. It's chilling on my overheated skin, but much welcomed. It feels good. I want to, Cece. I want to trust you so fucking badly, he confesses. His forehead is pressed against mine, and I can feel his hot breath against my mouth. He's battling with himself. He's torn between letting me in and keeping me at a distance. I inhale the alcohol that he's exhaling, a strong vodka aroma. I thought I had smelled it on him earlier, but now I know for sure he was drinking. After my dad had died, my mom hid in her room a lot. Casey was left to cook and take care of me most of the time. She took advantage and watched mostly adult shows and movies on TV. I'd sit with her and ended up learning much more than I should have. By the time I was 17, I had lost my virginity. I was more curious than in love, but once I lost it, I didn't feel the need to protect it. It was the only time I ever felt anything besides anger and sadness. It was the only time I didn't think about my dad and how much I wished I had died right along with him that day. It was the only time I wasn't numb to the pain. When I was 17, I met Jason. He was a year ahead of me, but we hooked up my entire junior year. He was never more than that for me, a hookup. After a while, he wanted more. He wanted to start going on dates, holding hands, being a couple. I told him I couldn't, and that I wasn't wired that way. I hadn't felt that need to have that with him. I kept him at a distance, not wanting to let that part of my heart open for him. I didn't want to be in love. I never felt like I deserved it. How could I allow myself to love when I was still mourning my dad's death all these years later? I just knew I could never give him what he wanted. We stopped talking after he graduated, and my heart never skipped a beat in missing him. I always felt I was incapable of caring that much for someone, so much that I wanted to let them in. And this is how I knew Bentley was struggling with the same thing. Between letting me in, trusting me, and pushing me away. It was too late for the both of us. We were both way too far in, and now I had to cover my tracks before he found out the actual truth. You can trust me, Bentley, I say again, because it's true. Besides the lies I'm forced to hide, my feelings are real. I'm ready to give Bentley anything he wants to prove it. He presses his hips into me, binding us together. He grabs my ankles and forces them on top of his shoulders, so the only thing holding us against the wall is my ass and his hips. I'm literally folded in half between Bentley and the wall. He smirks as he sees how flawlessly I bend. I told you I was in gymnastics. He grins before saying, "At least I can believe that much." He thrusts inside me deeper. My head falls back against the wall as my body opens up willingly for him. He's completely hard and thick, stretching me out farther than I've ever been before. The tight sensation is intense. I can feel every thick inch of him. The way he grinds into me makes everything go away. I don't feel numb anymore. I don't think about the dangerous territory I've gotten myself into. It's just him and me. He moans and pants into my neck as he continues rocking into me. I feel his hot breath against my blistering skin. My head can't concentrate on anything but the deep pleasure he's giving me, the connection between us, and how good it feels to be with him. God, Cece, your body, I can't ever get enough. He breathes against my skin. I could never get enough of you. He bites the raw flesh of my earlobe, sending shivers down my body. He presses deeper inside me, his hands clenching my ankles to him. His mouth wanders up and down my neck, ear, and jaw. His tongue traces my jawline, igniting the raw but real feelings I have toward him. I wasn't even looking for someone when I padded into that boardroom. It was the farthest thing from my mind, but now that I'm here with him, I don't want to let go. I don't want to let go of this feeling. Alive, invincible, real. I couldn't tell him the truth now. It'd destroy him. Destroy us. Bentley, God, you're amazing, I confess, unable to keep the feelings from spilling out of me. So damn amazing. His head backs up and makes eye contact with me. He slows his torture-pleasing rhythm and looks deep into me. Through me. I hope you mean that, Cece. God, I really hope, because this isn't easy for me. It's been a long time since I've let someone in, and I want to let you in. I crave letting you in. He leans his forehead against mine. His breathing slows, matching our rhythm. I do, I whisper. A tinge of guilt leaves my throat. I hope he doesn't notice, but I can't help it. My heart and mind are in the middle of World War III, and there's nothing I can do about it because I already know my heart will win. I won't be able to say no to him, nor do I want to. But I can't lose focus on what I really want, what I'm really after. He releases my ankles, but they stay placed on his shoulders. His hands wrap my face, cupping my cheeks as he crushes our mouths together. I immediately submit to his lips and tongue, wanting everything he's willing to give me. He speeds back up, rocking his hips forcefully against mine. I take in his moans and panting in my mouth as I release my own. I can feel the sweat between us, the lust releasing out of our skin as he rides out my intense orgasm. Bentley, yes, I mumble against his lips. My head falls back on its own accord as his mouth drops to my neck. He licks a path from my collarbone to my ear as I scream out his name one more time until I come down. Sweetheart, as much as I want to fuck you hard against this wall and release everything I have in you, I'm not wearing a condom. I can hear the slight agony in his tone. He's disappointed, but knows it's the right thing to do.
We hope you enjoyed this free preview of The Intern Volume 2, Book 2 in the Intern series. To keep the story going, get the complete book today.
Audible hopes you have enjoyed this program.
What I'm really after. He releases my ankles, but they stay placed on his shoulders. His hands wrap my face, cupping my cheeks as he crushes our mouths together. I immediately submit to his lips and tongue, wanting everything he's willing to give me. He speeds back up, rocking his hips forcefully against mine. I take in his moans and panting in my mouth as I release my own. I can feel the sweat between us, the lust releasing out of our skin as he rides out my intense orgasm. "Bentley, yes," I mumble against his lips. My head falls back on its own accord as his mouth drops to my neck. He licks a path from my collarbone to my ear as I scream out his name one more time until I come down. "Sweetheart, as much as I want to fuck you hard against this wall and release everything I have in you, I'm not wearing a condom." I can hear the slight agony in his tone. He's disappointed, but knows it's the right thing to do.